All right. What's going on? Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yo, what's happening? What's good, everybody? That's right. We are here. This is the March 2nd, 2025 edition of the Boxing Source Podcast. And what has it been? It's been about an hour here since I pretty much like got back and settled in from New York City. Oof. Yeah, it's crazy. It's wild. It's crazy. You know what I mean? I'm trying to, get settled in and everything like that, man. And a shout out to those in the live chat joining in already. Shout out to my guys there, brother Smitty in the building, smack like that in the building. Yeah, what's going on with you? Crazy 24 hours. Listen, man, I have not really caught up with everything quite yet. From fight night, man. I have not quite caught up from fight night. The thing that I usually do, therefore, covering the event, I still haven't posted those photos yet from the event there. So, those that, check out the boxingsource.net. And usually I have the updates there, fighting and photos for a number of the fights that are part of a fight card for what I'm able to attend. And for this one here, like I said, I mean, I'm just getting back, from New York City just about an hour ago. And listen, I was up until about 5:30 a.m. So listen, I am like really trying to get myself in a gear, get everything rolling and stuff like that to try to catch up. But listen, that was an event to say the least. That was a spectacle. That was a show, which is something that they pretty much said was going to happen. They said it was going to be a show. They said that at the press conference, out over in DC, well, here in DC, Howard University, that it was going to be a show. You know what I mean? And in the press conference for Fight Week, it said, hey, it's about time to boogie. You know what I mean? So with that being said, that is exactly what you got at the Barclays Center on Saturday night. Hey, Smitty, yeah, you said tell everybody about Lamont, and you got called a tank lover for trying to amp Lamont. All right, so I'll open up with that as far as like the overall analysis. Well, pretty much like a summary, right? And this is the thing here, right? Shout out to my guys, here in the chat already. Smitty, smack like that, right? But they know, okay? I know. Shout out to my folks in the DMV area, DMV, Baltimore, all that. Smitty, smack like that. My guy, brother Rashid, their Second Win Sports Media. Of course, light skinned Lou. You had who was my guy that I just was talking to? Big Boxing. Many others you'll hear from the DC area. They already knew about Lamont Roach Jr. We already knew him from the get-go. We already knew about him from the amateurs, top-ranked amateur. Okay? So it wasn't like, oh, this guy's like, like a nobody, like many of the outsiders we're talking about. They don't understand the history of these two fighters coming from the amateur ranks going into the pros. And there's a number of people that were able to like see Lamont Roach go from the amateurs over to the pros and have his first fight, his pro debut, where? At the DC Armory, right? Was that part of that Bernard Hopkins Babu Shumanov fight card at the DC Armory? That was his pro debut. So, like we've seen what Lamont Roach Jr. has been doing over the course of his amateur career and his pro career. So when they had this fight, pretty much locked up and they seen the odds, and it was like, pretty much there at minus 96, 1600, for Tank Davis, it's like, y'all selling Lamont Roach Jr. short, and that fight last night showed y'all what Lamont Roach Jr. is capable of. And you just seen it. You know what I mean? Shout out to Secret Dance Move on on the live chat there, man. He already got his analysis there on it. But that was the thing about this fight. It was that, oh well, since it's Lamont Roach Jr., oh, it's another guy that's coming up from 130 pounds that's facing Tank Davis. Wait a minute, didn't Tank Davis come up from 130 pounds? Oops, wait, oh, my bad. Yeah. And yeah, the thing about that pro debut for Lamont Roach Jr., yeah, he started his career above 130 pounds, well over 130 pounds. So talking about like Lamont Roach Jr. is a smaller guy. Nope. Nope. I'm like, Tank Davis, come on, man. Tank Davis is what, like 5'5"? If that? So who was the bigger guy? You know what I mean? And we know about, what they did in the amateurs, how close it was in the amateurs on both occasions. So here in the pros, this is what many of us in the area expected. It was just that a number of the fight fans out, outside of the area and around the world, pretty much like expected a Gervonta Tank Davis win, knockout, and that would be that, right? So now here we are. It's like we've seen what happened in the fight. Okay. We've seen Lamont Roach Jr. go, punch for punch, basically, there with Tank Davis, and had a number of instances where Tank Davis was, off balance and, reeling from a few punches that Lamont Roach Jr. was able to land. He was able to win a number of those exchanges between him and Tank, and he was able to deal with a number of those counter punches that Tank Davis was throwing. So with that being said, like a number of fight fans had Lamont Roach Jr. winning the fight, but scorecards said otherwise. One score had it 7 rounds to 5 in favor of Tank Davis, and two scores had it 6 rounds to 6. Okay. Now, I posted the live there when Jimmy Lennon Jr. was reading the scorecards, but that was like on my other IG page, personal IG page. But live when Jimmy Lennon Jr. read the scorecards, if y'all are familiar with how Jimmy Lennon Jr. or something like that, like says, how he announces the scorecards, he'll be like, every other scorecards, and it's a unanimous decision, or or here are the score totals, you know what I mean, or it's a split decision. What we had was he just like read the scorecards and then went right into what the scores would be, right? You know what I'm saying? Shout out by God, Angry Man Sports Media in the building, man. What's happening with you? What's happening? So yeah, Jimmy Lennon Jr. there, and he just went in and read the scorecards. And he said, one judge had 115, 113 in favor of Gervonta Tank Davis. And the two judges had it 114, 114. And I was like, after he said, 115, 113, Gervonta Davis, I pretty much knew that it was going to be like a majority draw, because he didn't indicate if it was going to be a unanimous decision, if it was going to be a split decision, neither one of those. So you kind of like had the idea after you read that first scorecard that, this was going to be a draw, man. And that's exactly what happened. And so you have Tank Davis with his first fight. That's not a win. It's not a loss, but it's not a win. Okay. And, Lamont Roach Jr. was able to show up and show out, as he said, and all he got was basically a draw out of the bout, and it was pretty much a tough break there for Lamont Roach Jr. because it looked like live that he was doing a number of things there to get the advantage in the number of those rounds, but the judges kind of like felt otherwise. A number of the judges felt otherwise. And for me, it was more about the activity there for Lamont Roach Jr. that I would have felt like got the majority of the rounds, but it looks like some may say that the power punches landed from Tank Davis was the key in the fight. All right, so before I go more into it, you'll have, of course, our great panelists that join in on the Boxing Source podcast, and I have one here joining here right here in a moment that had assessed the fight, was able to score the fight, he watched the fight, and he was able to score the fight round by round. Unlike me, because I was there, taking photos, but at least I had like a general idea of who I felt like had an advantage there. But here we go. We got our guy, the Box Academic, is in the building. What's going on, Academic?
What's up, JR? What's up, JR? Man,
Yo,
you
what
stayed
up?
up late. You stayed up late for that press conference, buddy.
Oh well, I mean, I expected that. I expected that. I expected that. You know what I mean? That was no surprise. Was out at the Barclays until about what 3, probably pretty much around 3 or something, and then like didn't really get to have any type of rest until 5:30 a.m. So I mean, it was insane, man. I'm telling you, whew, it was something.
Hey, it takes dedicated people like you, man. So giving you your flowers, while you still living. So
Yeah,
shout out to you,
yeah,
brother.
yeah, yeah,
You,
yeah.
you done you done brought it a long way, man. You done brought it a long way.
Yeah, it's getting there, man. 2 months away from 10 years. Geez, 2 months away from 10 years, bro. That is crazy. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
man. Yeah. Good times, brother. Good times.
Yeah, yeah. So, man, of course, you assess the fight and everything like that. So like going to like what you thought about it round by round and overall, what happened, because I ain't really gotten to one of the other major topics as part of what made the scores be what they are.
Okay. So overall, obviously, it was a good fight for the fans. And Tank Davis and Lamont Roach. So first of all, let me say this: I was one of the outside people who was wrong about Lamont Roach. Just me having a purview of Lamont Roach's fights and a purview of Javante Davis fights, kind of noticing patterns with Lamont Roach and noticing some of the offensive things that I know that Javante Tank Davis can do.
Mm-hmm.
I holistically expected, it getting to, this is pre-fight, it getting to round 6 and expecting Lamont Roach maybe not moving his head, because in a few of his drills, I don't think he moves his head. And so, typically that stuff translates, but he did a great job of keeping up his high guard. He obviously knew a lot of the things that Tank was going to do. And the one thing that allowed him to have success is that Tank didn't set up his offensive arsenal. A lot of times Tank wasn't jabbing. Tank jabbed sometimes, but a lot of times he wasn't jabbing to set up the big punch or the uppercut, or the backhand shot. He wasn't setting the shots up. And so essentially Tank would sort of come in and throw some shots which wouldn't start off with the jab, and then Lamont Roach would either do the high guard and counter, or he would do some type of move and then always counter Tank Davis. And so that kind of gave him some fit. So high level again, obviously Roach gave the doubters something to chew on with his good performance. And again, I if I had to project everything that I know normally with a fight, the one thing that I didn't put into the factor was that they knew each other very well. And so we could see that with um the fight with Garcia and what's my boy name who kept getting hit with the left hooks. I'm drawing a blank here.
You
Devin
said what?
Haney.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
Garcia and Devin
Ryan.
Haney,
Yeah.
like you could tell Garcia knew what was like what punch to throw, and you would have thought that Devin Haney would have been able to just get away from that. But if I had to say if anybody won, the fans won, and ideally we want to see a rematch. And so I'll go into round by round now.
All right.
So round 1, I thought it was an uneventful round, and Tank didn't land any punches. If he did land a punch, he landed one punch, maybe. Roach won the round because he threw more and he landed more. Even if that number was small, he threw more and he landed more. So round one, I gave to Roach. Round two, I gave it to Tank. And so Roach might have threw more, but Tank landed more shots, mostly body shots. And each fighter is waiting on each other. These are the notes that I write, behind the match of why I give a person something. Round three, I gave to Tank. So Roach in the high guard, Tank taking what Roach is giving him, which is the body shots. This could make Roach lower his hands for body shots and get caught up top. Round four, I called it an even round, but I was leaning toward Roach.
Okay.
And so not a lot to differentiate, but Roach landed a few shots toward the end to possibly steal the round. It remains to be seen if this wait and counter plan will work long term or if it will backfire on Roach. So round five, I gave it to Tank. Tank probably landed more shots. They did more talking to each other than landing clean shots. So they just started like literally just talking crap and they wasn't really throwing shots. But Tank, I think in that round, landed a few more shots there. Round six, I gave to Tank. Tank's movement and pot shotting was winning him the round. He started landing cleaner shots. Roach still being second to throw. This may not bode well for him if he gets caught. So that kept coming in my mind, like this wait and see approach. And I'm just always asking myself, will this backfire or is this a good plan? Round seven, I gave it to Roach. Roach landed more clean shots, better shots than Tank. Round eight, I gave to Roach. Roach landing clean shots. Not sure if it's the countering that's bringing success. He's making Tank go first, which appears to be slowing Tank down enough with too much thinking. For sure, Tank not jabbing to set up big shots is getting him countered cleanly. Round nine, I gave to Roach. Davis did something weird, and this is the round where he took the knee. And this is my note. Davis did something weird where he took a knee after something was in his eye. Should have been scored a knockdown. Roach still landing shots. So I gave that round to Roach. Round 10, I called it an even round, but I was leaning toward Roach again. Roach landed clean shots. Tank landed a few shots too, but I called it an even round because it wasn't a lot to differentiate. Round 11, I gave it to Roach. Roach got the better of the round, but it still was a close round. And round 12, I think Roach finished stronger. So I gave that round to Roach. So to me, Roach closed the show to me. And, from the momentum with the non-call knockdown and just the way he sort of was fit. Well, the thing is, at some point he would start the combos and then he would finish the combos. But in the beginning, he made Tank sort of lead the dance in a sense. And that kind of had Tank thinking. It had Tank thinking a lot more than what he really really wanted to think. And so if I count the number of rounds, 6 rounds for Roach, 4 rounds for Tank, and 2 tie rounds. Again, both of them I'm leaning toward Roach, but I got 2 tie rounds in there, just depending on what you like. So to me, for my scorecard, Roach won the fight. However, depending on what you like, if you like the work that Tank did, you can get him 2 tie rounds to Tank, and that gives you this tie fight that the refs gave. So, I'm not mad at it, but the thing that sort of stole the show, which is the bad. Do you want me to talk about this now? Start talking about this, or was you gonna lead into that?
No. We'll table that for
Okay.
like the later joint.
Okay. Yeah. So that's all I got right now.
Okay. So the thing is, like, with your scorecard, you had it like 6 rounds for Lamont Roach, 4 rounds for Tank, and then 2 even. But you pretty much like lean towards like Lamont Roach like getting the win there. Initially, like, looking at it as I could live, as far as like the vibe goes, not necessarily like going into multiple details on it. I thought it was like Lamont Roach that won most of the rounds there, because I felt like his activity over the course of the rounds would have been enough for him to get the majority of the rounds there for that particular fight. I just didn't feel like Tank Davis was doing enough offensively to get the better of Lamont Roach in a lot of these in a lot of those instances, and in a couple of cases, it looked like he was the one that was being more effective from some of the power shots that was being thrown by Lamont Roach Jr. Then on the flip side with Tank Davis and how he kind of like uses his power punch, his power left hand, countering, trying to get to the body and that type of thing to get the better of his opponents. But, Lamont Roach Jr. didn't necessarily back down in a number of those exchanges. And I thought that was key in that particular bout. Now, going into the scorecards, as I read earlier, you had two scores of 114 to 114 and one score of 115 to 113 in favor of Tank Davis. Okay. Now, what's interesting about it is that going into the 12th round, all three judges had the bout or had it 105 to 104 in favor of Tank Davis. So going into the 12th round, they had Tank Davis leading the bout. So in order for Lamont Roach Jr. to even get a draw, that majority draw, he had to win that 12th round, and he did in two scores. So even through 11 rounds, the judges, all three judges, had it 105, 104 in favor of Tank Davis. So if he would have took that 12th round all across the board, he would have basically had a unanimous decision, 115, 113. They would have scored it 7 rounds to 5 in favor of Tank Davis. So it looked like they kind of like favored the power punching there that I guess they were able to see from their vantage point where they were at the different points of the ring, because they had a number of rounds that they scored in favor of Tank Davis, right?
Can we go over the individual rounds?
Share the scorecard here. Let me see. I'm gonna see if I could share that scorecard here real quick, and then see if I could, magnify it or something like that, right? To see if it could go pretty well here. I don't know. Let me see how it's viewed, in the studio here real quick. Yeah. All right. Bet. So what you got is you could see like in that first round, like all of them were in agreement that they had Lamont Roach Jr. winning that first round. But after that, you had two judges that pretty much scored 4 consecutive, no, actually, it might be 5. Yeah, 5 consecutive rounds in favor of Tank Davis. 2 judges had it like 5 straight. So going into the 7th round, they had 59-55 in favor of Tank Davis. So Lamont Roach Jr. had to, come back from a 4-point deficit after the 6th round. So that was something right there. From 2 of the judges there. Hold on, I was going to see if they had the name on there reference to that, but yeah, I can't necessarily see it there. Oh, okay, yeah. So Eric Marlinsky and Steve Weisfeld had it 59-55 in favor of Tank Davis, right? While you had Glenn Philbin that had it 57-57 even through 6 rounds. So it took a lot for Lamont Roach Jr. in order for him to basically get a draw on Steve Weisfeld's scorecard, because he had him, Lamont Roach Jr., with the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th round in Lamont Roach Jr.'s favor. But to see that it was 59-55 halfway through the fight in favor of Tank Davis, yeah, man, I don't know. I think a number of people would seriously, be have a problem with that.
Can I say something?
Zoe is a hater of Tank. That is That is the disclaimer. Zoe is a hater of Tank, so that is why he made that statement.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
So for me, through what round did you say they had that score?
Through six rounds, through halfway through the fight,
Okay,
59-55 in favor of Tank Davis.
so for me, I had it one round for Roach and 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 rounds for Tank and then one tie round, which again, depending on what you like, you could have gave it to Tank.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm in my scorecard is in agreement with them.
All right. So so yeah, so you pretty much in the line with it. All right. Real quick, I know we got one take hater in the chat. What up, Zoe? I asked the question: yes or no? Did I call Roach garbage before or after the Tank fight? Zoe has called Roach garbage before the Tank fight. He doesn't give Lamont Roach Jr. that much credit at all. And I should sick Lamont Roach Jr. after you to see if he says the same thing to you as he said to Showbiz and to that two-tone guy, whatever it was, after the. Oh my god, that actually that was hilarious though. But I don't know, man. I might have Zoe call in, even though he'll have a whole little tirade in reference to this fight, man. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I've heard some of the people's comments, and it seemed more it seemed like they out to get some people out to get more views than like actually talk boxing. So
yeah.
just my
Pretty
own
much
thoughts.
that's yeah. That's pretty much what it is. You know what? Like I said, I knew it was going to be a fight with two very skilled guys because I knew the history of them. And if you know you're pretty much from this area, based from this area, then you know about the history of these two fighters. You know, so that's why I talked about it in the post-fight press conference on multiple occasions. You know, not just with Lamont Roach Jr., but with Coach Barry Hunter. You know, I talked with Coach Barry Hunter before the fight and after the fight. Brought up the same thing: how all of these guys are familiar with each other. All of these guys have fought in the amateurs. All of these guys have shared the same gyms. They're working, with each other for years. So a fight like this, while it may be a shock to a lot that ain't from the area, it ain't a shock to those that are in the area. You know what I mean?
What I
So,
said, though. What you talking about? What I said, though.
oh man, so he's gonna try to get you on something. I don't know, man.
Yeah, he gonna get me on something. He gonna try to get me on something.
Yeah, he gonna try to get you on something there. But yeah, going back to the thing there with the scores, like I said, looking at it like pretty much like kind of visualizing it live while taking the photos. I was like, maybe you had Roach maybe getting the advantage there for a number of those rounds. That's why I kind of like felt like it was 7-5. It could have been 7-5 in his favor, but given the case that I guess Tank was saying was that for a number of the what is it like the power punches or the significant punches, he was able to land more of those over the course of the fight. I would say what they had like power punches. They had him with a 93 punches landed to 87 for Lamont Roach and Tank like landed at a better percentage. And actually, total punches, he landed at a better percentage than Lamont Roach did over the course of those rounds, even though it was almost like 300 punches thrown total by Tank and 400 punches thrown by Lamont Roach Jr. So, I mean, like you said, it's about more of what kind of like before or what you've seen, given the vantage point of where these judges are at different parts of the ring. So that's kind
And
of
we
like
always got to take CompuBox with a grain of salt too, though.
yeah, in some cases, yeah, because I mean it's CompuBox, so the punch count could be flawed, the connect percentage could be flawed, but even with that, like I was saying before, the judges don't necessarily see that like how many punches they're actually throwing per round. They don't necessarily see that. All they see is what they're able to see that is actually landing and what is a significant punch, or how aggressive a certain fighter is and how effective that aggression is. So that's like the different, at least for me, that's a different criteria in reference to scoring these rounds. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like how we pretty much like assess that thing in reference to the fight. Now, wanted to get into, of course, the other part. Okay.
Did you say the last 6 rounds?
The last 6 rounds in reference to what specifically? Like
the scorecard. We didn't say the last 6 rounds.
Okay. So the last 6 there, right? So no, I was saying after that 6th round for 2 scorecards, Lamont Roach Jr. had to do some real work in order to try to, get back into it, about pretty much like get a draw or something like that. Because when you're down like 5 rounds to 1 after 6 rounds, that's a significant gap, so to speak. So and given what Tank Davis was saying after the fight, that's really something, because he was saying after like round 9 or 10 or 11, he didn't know what round was happening. So he said like by the 12th round, it was like he said touch him up or whatever it is, and he looked up and he sees like it's round 12, and he's like, what? It's 12. It's round 12. What? Oh, you know what I mean? So he was kind of, I don't know if it was like his, mind state or whatever it is. He kind of like talked about it after the fight, but he was not 100% sound, I guess, in that second half of the fight. So, take that for what you will. And that's pretty much what I had there for that second half of the fight. So that's what I had on that. Brother Steph, what's going on with you? You know what I mean? And once again, Zoe is hating. All right, so that's the thing about it. Like if you want to continue to hate, you can continue to hate, but you just don't understand what goes on here in this particular area when it comes to boxing. Like you're really selling these fighters short. You're really selling them short. I'ma just say that you're really selling them short, and that's that. You know what I mean? So with that being said, wanted to get into the other part of this main topic here with the main event, and of course that is what happened there in round 9, where you have Tank Davis, eventually taking a knee, and live we didn't necessarily know what was going on, and then he goes down, and the crowd at the Barclays Center was in absolute shock as referee Steve Willis starts counting 1, 2, and then all of a sudden stops. And then when he stops, it's like, okay, what's going on here? What's happening? And eventually, it was basically that Tank just voluntarily took a knee. You know what I mean? And he said, it was due to something that was really bothering him in his eye, and couldn't necessarily see, so he just voluntarily took a knee. And then when he got up, he was able to get wiped off, and you were able to resume, as there was time. It was basically time, and then they were able to resume. So the thing about it was like, well, if they were saying that it was a knockdown, then it would have been a point taken away. But since the count was basically stopped, then I would say, hey, that doesn't necessarily count as a knockdown. And New York State Athletic Commission, I guess, had it within their rules that it said that it wasn't quite a knockdown. So I have to go ahead and I have to find it, because it was like something where if you have something like that happens, where it's not coming from a punch, that is coming from like any type of what I would say, a deterrent that affects a fighter that didn't necessarily come from a punch, then they don't necessarily count it as a knockdown or something like that. I don't know. I gotta find it because it was something I saw it like somewhere around here.
I,
But
I got a hot take on that after you get done.
no, go ahead, go ahead on that.
So what I heard you say, and you know the rules are, if it's not caused by a punch, you going to the mat will not cannot be counted against you. The thing is, if you look at the punch that happened right before he actually turned around and took a knee, it's kind of like he got poked in the eye. He got punched in the eye, and then 1 second after he got punched in the eye, he stepped back, then he turned around.
Hmm.
And you know, like I would just encourage everybody to just look at the sequence, and look at the timing of him turning around. It was like Lamont Roach threw a right hand, and then after that he threw a jab, and the jab hit Tank right in the eye. And then right after he got hit in the eye, a second later, a millisecond, whatever you want to say, he turned around and then he took the knee, and then he walked over there to touch the towel. Now I ain't trying to be funny. I'm just telling it like I see it. But when they wiped his eye with the towel, did they really wipe his eyes, or did he just put his face in the towel?
Hmm.
Because to me, it didn't look like they wiped his eyes. It's just like he put his face in the towel. I think he got poked in the eye, and then he essentially got to call a timeout. When you a boss, I guess you're a boss.
Hmm. Well, I mean, thing about it was is like I said, I was there watching it live, and I just couldn't see like or understand what was going on live with it, and that once Steve Willis stopped that count, at least for me, it seemed like the like say for example, you know how when a knockdown happens in any case, right? The referee, whether he's able to see that knockdown be done live or it was pretty much like he was out of position, then he'll look off to to ringside for another person that has started the count, and so that the ref will resume the count, right? So with that being said, it looked like Steve Willis started the count and then stopped it. So maybe it was to where the point where he saw that the count shouldn't have continued in that sense. I mean, so we have to see what goes on in reference to all of that. But as far as like the thing is, the state of New York, that's the state of New York for you, because this is the same New York State Athletic Commission that has it to where you can, after the bell rings to start the next round, have a timeout and have a doctor come up to the ring in order to observe you. This happened in that fight between Julian J. Rock Williams and Yoenis Tejas, if I'm not mistaken. So that's part of the thing there that goes on in New York. But still, I mean, just that alone kind of made things to where that could have been the difference in the fight. You know,
But Tank got
and
away with one, so that's all that matter. He got away with one.
well, I mean that's could have been what could have happened there. But the thing about it is that for me, if it was like really that serious, I say you gotta take advantage of it too. And this at the same token, you gotta take advantage of it. And for me, I just didn't see where Lamont Roach Jr. kind of like could have built off that and took advantage of it.
So you think he should have hit him while he stood back up? That was you saying, Jr. He should, when he turned around, he should have hit him. That was you saying.
No, I ain't saying when he turned around, he should have hit him. But what I
Capitalize.
will say, what I will say though, is over the course of the fight, you did see a couple things there with Tank Davis where he kind of tried to roughhouse Lamont Roach Jr. And what did Lamont Roach Jr. do? The same thing. Like, hey, I ain't backing down if you're gonna try to throw me around or think you could try to throw me around. No, I'm gonna do the same thing too. You know what I mean? So as far as that part, okay, you could have something there. But on the flip side, too, after that happened and you have the timeout, you got to be able to press the issue. If you really feel like, hey, he's having something that's in his eye that's bothering him and all that, press him. You know what I'm saying? Press him. And, for those last few rounds, I mean, in what it was, a number of those judges' scorecards, he was able to like get the most of them. But outside that thing there for that ninth round, even with that, right? So check this. So check this out. Even with what happened there in the ninth round, only one judge scored it in favor of Lamont Roach. Only one. So, so you could have seen like how much that could have really affected the fight if they had scored that and knockdown. But hey, that's the state of New York for you.
I ain't gonna lie, Jr. It was a few times where it was weird stuff like that, like the eye and turning around that messed up my concentration to like judge a fight. It was just like random stuff happening that messed up my concentration to be like, well, dang, who actually winning? You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, I decided or whatever, but it was just weird stuff happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something where it's like it was just weird, It was just a weird thing, you know what I mean? So I don't know.
Who was
It's like,
Tim?
what was that?
Some guy had a comment and say Tim had blood the whole fight. Come on, guys. Who was Tim?
Yeah, I have no idea what that meant. I have no idea what that meant. That's
Sorry, I derailed you.
that's nothing. You know what I mean? So thing about it is like, yeah, I see what's going on, but this is what I'm gonna do. Like I said, I mean, this is a thing for the call-in show. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have that thing where folks will be able to call in. So just bear with me for 1 second, and I'll just put this on here on the scroll, and it got it there as 571-449-7217. You could call in 571-449-7217. You feel me? And that's where you could go ahead, call in and have your take on your what went down in the fight, your thoughts of the fight, you felt like won the fight there, and other things pertaining to it, because even after all of this, a number of people say, hey, since it's a draw, we need a rematch. I was saying, hey, bring the rematch back to the DMV, bring it to Capital One Arena. I felt like that's where this fight should have been in the first place. But they're able to work it to be at the Barclays Center, and it pretty much like set some records there with that. I would say the gate is probably going to be around like 8 million for this event here at the Barclays Center. The thing is scrolling down there, but 571-449-7217 there, if you have a take on what went down here for this particular fight. keep the keep the keep it as cool as you possibly
PG.
can.
Keep it PG 13.
PG,
18 and 21 something.
You know what I'm saying?
So the thing is, the comment you just made, literally one of the last comments in the press conference, he made a statement saying, yeah, if it's up to me or something, creative freedom of what I think he said. Yeah, I want to fight him again, but I don't think that's going to be the next fight. Say that statement.
Okay.
Say the statement.
Okay. So it's something to that. It's something to that effect, right? It's something to that effect. Okay. And with that being said, I'll get into that there a little bit, but because that's kind of part of his deal there. But hold on, let me see if I could try something here real quick too. to see if their person will be able to get on here just in just a moment. So hold on just a moment. We trying to see someone that's able to get on the line here. Was it 848 is in here? What's your name? Where you calling from?
It's the one Lord, so they'll argue this one. But give me a second. I gotta turn the YouTube back in the background.
Yeah.
Okay. Why are you guys doing this?
Doing what? What I'm doing?
You guys are doing the same thing I did with Pitbull Cruz, with Pedraza, with Rolly, with Barrios. Y'all turning guys into killers to justify Tank's performance. Again.
No, we're not.
Bad performance by Tank. I mean, everybody can see that. This ain't his best performance.
It's not his best performance. But what you're doing is you're downplaying a number of the opponents that Tank has had over the course of his professional career to downplay Tank.
I understand if I was doing that. If I was doing that after the fact. I literally make jokes and say his handlers listen to your show to see who I call garbage and then fight him. I'm not saying these niggas is garbage when they fight him. I'm saying this shit years in advance. He's gonna fight Chris Colbert next.
He better no, he ain't go fight no Chris Colbert. He's not gonna do that.
It's like
I would be disappointed if he did.
If I sat you guys down and then I said, okay, let's go watch film from the Orlando Cruz fight to the Jamel Herring fight to the Hector Garcia fight to the Tank fight, and I ask you, what's the crazy improvements he made that says you guys believe that ain't better? So if he didn't get better, then he's still the same guy. So what did he do to get better?
So
skill-wise, tell me what did he do to get better since the Hector Garcia Jamel Herring fight, struggling against dumbass Hector Garcia too. So tell me what he did to get better.
So you mean to tell me? Wait, hold on. So you mean to tell me that after you watched this particular fight and you didn't see different elements from Tank Davis's game that said that he was any better than what he was from the Hector Garcia fight?
No, I said, tell me Lamont Roach from the Lamont Roach from watching Lamont Roach fight Jamel Herring, Orlando Cruz, and Hector Garcia. That same level fighter is the same guy you saw against Tank last night.
No.
What did he do to get better?
No. You mean to tell me that the fighter that you saw against Jamel Herring is the same fighter that you saw last night? That's my question to you.
The one that got stuck behind a jab. You know why he didn't get stuck behind the jab in this fight? Because Tank doesn't fucking have one.
That still does not say where you're saying that Lamont Roach Jr. has not improved from that point.
Tell me the areas. What did he get better? And tell me the areas.
In reference to power punching, and hold on, Zoe, because this is where you kind of go off the rails, okay? So, in reference to power punching, sitting down on his punches, moving in and out of the pocket, he's done better from the point that he was fighting Jamel Herring to the point where he fought Hector Luis Garcia, made the defense against Pedrick McQuarrie last year, and in this particular fight against Tank Davis.
So you think it was from what he was doing from round 8 to round 12 against Jamel Herring, the way he was sitting down in round 8 to round 12, it's not the same shit he's doing now, bro. You're gonna be dead ass and tell me that shit, and then you see why I say shit
again. See, no. Hold on, because you're like I said this right before you were starting to reply that you were about to go off the rails, and that is what you're pretty much doing here. Okay. What I said was in reference to that precision punching and body shots. You mean to tell me that he has not improved from that particular point until now? Is that what you're telling me?
We can line up the frame and I'll show you no. You're literally saying this to make up for what Tank's performance.
That's again, you're bringing up somebody else when we're talking about one specific fighter.
That's what he fought.
Hold on.
So in order for us to show the evolution, we show
Hold on.
Fight. I have to bring up Tank. What are you talking about?
No, because here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? Because you're talking about one specific fighter and saying that, oh, he hasn't improved. You have to say, or you have to show where that particular fighter hasn't improved. I'm not even dealing with your overall point about Tank fighting specific fighters and saying that those specific fighters aren't necessarily at a skill level. Because here, in a sense, I could turn that around, right? Hold on. I could turn that around and say that about other fighters that Tank is being compared to, that his contemporaries.
Okay, Lamont
now,
Roach, you said Lamont Roach has gotten better at sitting down on his punches. My rebuttal is round 8 through 12. What he was doing against Herring is no different than what he was doing in this fight.
That is on your opinion. You would have to show it. Actually, you would have to show it.
And I gave you the rounds. I gave you the rounds.
You're saying the round. Hold on. You're saying the rounds in reference to Jamel Herring. What you would have to do is you would have to compare those rounds into what he did against Hector Luis Garcia for one, what he did against Pedro McCoy 2, what he did against Tank Davis 3. I'm just giving three separate examples on that front. Okay, 3. All right. Now. Okay. Now. Also, with your point in general, right? Because you presented this in reference to Tank Davis, right? Because the thing about what you're saying with Tank Davis overall is that the fighters that he's fought in his professional career don't really stack up to where he could be, at a level that a number of people put him at. Okay.
Andre Berto 2.0 was softer matchmaking. That's Tank. Andre Berto 2.0 was softer matchmaking.
I don't think Andre Berto can do a backflip.
Ladies and gentlemen, I made sure that I had to pause, so that is a clip. That is a clip. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That is a clip.
Oh yeah, Pedro. So here's the thing, right? If you do that, you would have to do that with other fighters across the board, not just in this era, but in previous eras. Because of course, a number of times you have criticized, of course, Jose Pedraza. You criticized Mario Barrios. You criticized Hector Luis Garcia. Okay. Now. Hold on. The thing with Hector Luis Garcia. Okay. Pedraza, Barrios. I'm not too sure about that. You also have Leo Santa Cruz on that resume. I'm not too sure about that. Isaac Cruz is on that resume. He was able to be a world champion after that. This has happened. Hold on. Hey, hold on. Again. I'm going by what has actually happened after these fighters have fought Tank Davis. I could do the same thing for many other fighters over many years. It's no different. So if you can't necessarily criticize other fighters that have kind of went through that same type of resume, why would you focus on just one fighter? That's my stance on it.
Because what you're doing is you're literally, when I get frustrated, why this shit frustrate me is because you're literally fucking making this shit up. You're talking about doing this shit with one fighter. There's no other guy in the top 10 pound for pound list that's as bare as him, that have performance consistent like him. There's nobody else, and that consistent try to put it up there. That consistency I put up. You brought Leo Santa Cruz, that he went down in weight. Leo Santa Cruz is a career 122 pounder. This is who you're talking about. You're talking about Isaac Cruz, who didn't have a name before Tank. He only got a name because the Tank fight was competitive, and he only got a belt because Rolly fucking got a fake ass belt and a fucking ring. You know this shit, and you ignore all this shit because this is how y'all fucking promote Tank. This is how y'all put it. How is that you got the WBA belt from being Rolly? Really got the
Zo. Again, this is what I mean when I say emotional. I'm not being emotional. I'm pointing things out. I'm pointing things out. I'm pointing things out. No. It's not.
You told me Tank was a 3-division champ, 2-time champ, and you start naming secondary titles. This is how bad it is, and you're gonna act like it's me.
It happens across the board. Hold on, Zo. This is hold on. Zo. No. Hold on. No, you don't always turn out right. That's number one. Number two, I know, Zo, that you could carry yourself in an argument a certain way that doesn't have to be like this. I know this for a fact. The thing about it is that what I'm showing is that you can't criticize one fighter and focus on that one fighter when it's been done in the past multiple times over. Another thing, hold on. Another thing is, I'm not doing anything to promote Tank Davis. Nothing. What I'm saying is what has been done, who he has fought, and what those fighters have done after they fought Tank. That's it. That's all.
And as soon as I went through what these fighters have done, you start calling me emotional and saying all this shit. I'm telling you what the fighters have done. Tank got fucking spanked. I mean, Isaac Cruz got spanked by Jose fucking Venezuela. Got a fucking controversial win over Angel Frio. And then fucking beat Rolly, who got the belt from a controversial win against a 67-year-old man. What are we doing? And you're gonna act like none of this shit exists. You come with these fights.
Whoa. Stop. Zo, stop. I never said that none of it existed. Never. So don't even do that. Don't even do that. Don't even do that. No, what you just said, hold on. What you just said is you just told me that I act like it never existed. You just said that. It's on record.
You know why it's on record? Because when I brought it up, you said I'm being emotional. You brought it up, you said I'm being emotional.
But yes or no, do I act like it ever existed or never existed? Yes or no?
What happened?
Do I act like all of the stuff that happened with an Isaac Cruz, with a Mario Barrios, with a Jose Pedraza, as you bring up, do I act like all that stuff never existed?
Yeah, to a degree.
That's where you're off. That is where you're off. And you know that. You know that for a fact.
I can bring up a conversation me and you had. I can show you a conversation me and you had when we were talking about why Tank deserves a half a pound. And then the first thing you brought up was 3-division champion, what you said, three-time world champion. I'm like, no. As soon as I said, no, that's not true. And you know that's not true.
Wait a minute. Hold on. That wasn't even what we were talking about. That wasn't even what we were talking about. What we're talking about is Tank Davis's resume and who he's fought in his resume, right? Because your original statement is that we're praising Lamont Roach Jr. to big up Tank, and you're saying that like it's similar to hold on, that is similar to Tank Davis fighting a Mario Barrios, Tank Davis fighting a Jose Pedraza, or a Tank Davis fighting a Leo Santa Cruz, right? Now, the thing about it is that, okay, you're talking about where these fighters are coming up from and not bringing up where Tank is coming up from. That's for one. That's in one stance. Okay. The other thing is that, and I keep stating it, if you do that here in reference to this, right? Why is it then when I talk about other fighters and them fighting other opponents, are you doing the same thing? That is my question. That's all. Because you say that, hey, you could bring up the conversations of me saying, hey, Tank Davis is a three-time or 3-division champion or things like that. Okay, I've been in here for almost 10 years. What about other fighters that have gone to have multiple division championships and how I view them and the opponents that they have? That it's that simple. Hey, reference point is over there at Spotify. Every single episode from episode 1 in May of 2015 up until the previous episode from last week is on Spotify. So you could go on there, you could look up every single one, and you could see if there's an instance where I would put Tank Davis on a much higher regard than a number of other fighters that are out there. Now, I'll put it like this. Has Tank Davis been around the top 3 in the boxing source pound for pound list at any point? Y'all can look that up too.
But I'm going to guess and say no.
Okay, so there you go. I'm not putting him over at Alexander Usyk. I'm not putting him over at Terrence Crawford. I'm not putting him over at Naoya Inoue. Not happening. But to not actually recognize him as a top pound for pound fighter, that's insane. That's my thing on it. So with that being said, like that's it. I mean, if anyone wants to say, hey, you want to criticize Tank, you have your take on Tank, as one. But for someone to say that, oh, I'm putting somebody in a higher pedestal than other fighters, no, that's not what I do. We got everything here that's on Al Gore's internet. You can see who these fighters are fighting. You can see what they've done after those fights have taken place. Not much different than a Manny Pacquiao, a Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez, a Terrence Crawford, a Naoya Inoue, Alexander Usyk. We could do that for every single fighter. But I guess, and see, this is exactly why I knew what was going to go on once he was able to call in. Because I knew it. When I might have something, but Box Academic, when you heard those most instances when Zoe has been on this particular show, okay, has he kind of like really criticized other fighters to this level?
The last time I remember him criticizing somebody heavy was like Terrence Crawford and Spence. He had a take on that I remember.
Probably one other one.
One other one
against Wilder.
Wilder, yeah, Wilder, mm-hmm. Yeah, Wilder.
Mm-hmm.
And number 4, he he bullies me also.
Yeah, but the thing about it is like for him to kind of like really go at Tank like that is I mean, I don't understand it, because there's not very many people that kind of have that type of take against Tank like that, given what he's done over the course of his professional career. So, I mean, hey,
The thing
all right,
is that I don't think that he's saying something that you haven't said to some extent, but like he's taking it to a different like he has his own view, but essentially what I feel like he's saying, and Zoe, you can correct me on this, but I feel like what he's saying is he ain't saying, I hope he ain't saying Tank is overrated, but what I think he's saying is Tank is limited in certain ways. And so I don't mean limited as in terms of skill, but I'm
mm-hmm,
saying like he has some deficiencies that showed up last night that some other people couldn't take advantage of. And I mean, we all know the deficiency. He don't throw enough punches. We all know the deficiency. He fall in love with his punching power. And if you a fighter who can take advantage of it, of course we're gonna be able to call it out. But
mm-hmm.
who has been able to take advantage of it up until last night? Speak for yourself, Zoe.
Mm. All right. I want to get in another panelist here to talk about this thing for the main event here for a little bit. Hasn't been on here for a while. Just bringing in brother Steph here to the conversation. Brother Steph, what's going on?
What's going on, man?
Yo, what's happening with you?
Shit. Not much, man. Not much. Just listening to Chopping It. And thanks for letting me on. I'm over here giggling about it because I'm like, give it the link, give it the link. What's up, Academic?
Not much. How you been? How you been?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. Happy belated New Year's, birthdays, Christmases, all that stuff, all that jazz.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Uh,
sir.
um,
Yeah,
what's
you've been
that?
up for a good little bit, man.
Yeah, but I'm still watching. I'm still watching everything, and I'm
Yeah.
just a little more active
Oh,
on the YouTube. That's all.
and Joe hit me up. He had to take care of something. So if he can, he'll probably see if he could call back.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, he was just, he was just letting it rip, man. I get it. But Jay, academic, I loved last night's fight, the main event. I loved it, man. Everything. That was a great fight. I don't really know why everyone actually I do know why. Tank's the big dog, so everybody wants him to lose. That's all what that is to me. But as well as Lamont Roach fought last night, I did not think he won. I thought Tank won decisively. I didn't think it was more so. I think they done him wrong. But I'm not mad at a draw. I'm not mad at a draw. In fact, I was on the telephone last night talking to my brother, as I usually do, watching the main events. And we talk through it and watch it and go back and forth. And at the end of it, I told him, I said, I think Tank won, but like it's gonna be a draw because it was such a good fight, man. This is why Tank is the face of boxing, man. He's entertaining. That was a really entertaining fight last night. I don't really get the hoopla with people, but to the
Mm,
details, uh, it kind of started slow a little bit, but Tank initiated the offense, man. He initiated everything. He was doing a lot in there, and he was a little tired by the end of it. I saw him being economical in spots as he usually is in his fights. That's how he normally fights. But he was moving, man. He was moving, and I think by the fourth round, by the middle of the fourth round, by like the 2 minute mark, they started trading. Man, it became a power punch battle and Lamont really stood his ground. And
mm-hmm.
coming into this fight, and more on that later, but coming into this fight, I was like, with Roach, I said, look, man, like, he's not a bad fighter. He's a good fighter. Since his losses, shout out to the zone, because that's how I kind of got to watch probably his last 5, 6 fights. Um, After his loss, he got better. He refined his style. He plods forward a little bit, real slow, kind of like Canelo a little bit, but he's more educated with his jab, and he's a natural counterpuncher. And if you listen to some questionnaires from him early in the week, he was telling people, he's like, if the knockout is there, I'm going to go for it, no doubt. So he was able to withstand all the heat that Tank was giving him, and that's why people, to me, think he won. Like, but he proved he made a really good adjustment in there too. The second part of the fight, talking about Lamont again, where after he realized he could stand there and take the punches,
Mm.
he really stood his ground, man. Where he was able to. This is a really good smart move he did, like where he was able to kind of cut the ring off. But what he did was, when Tank would be done circling and they meet back in the center, he'd stand right there in the center with him, but be real close to him. That's why
Mm-hmm.
the fight kind of started slow, because he was talking about Lamont again, to the chat, that is. He was trying to gauge that distance, but he was real close and he wouldn't allow Tank to get full extension off his punches. That's why it looked at the way it looked. And
Mm-hmm.
he's a bigger man with longer reach, and he was able, even from the get go, straight down the pipe with the right. He was able to do that from the beginning. So he just countered all night with Tank's all activity and moving and punch placement and hitting him. He was able to counter that. He countered it all night and he withstood it. That's why, again, people think he won, but he did it, man. And if I'm not big on copy box stats, but if you go look at the stats, Tank, he dominated him. Like, the only thing Lamont did was have a better jab because he was able to. That's how he fights with his
Mm-hmm.
offense. He leads off with it, but he was just countering all night. And yeah, man, he tough cookie, man. He stood there. He did that. He made it a good fight, but I don't know if that happens if Tank doesn't initiate it. And then with the crazy knockdown, yeah, that was weird. Even the answer he gave, I don't really know what to think about it. But what I do know is what my eyes told me, which was that Steve in there, the ref, he's got a lot of discretionary income, so he was, he decided all that, and he did count. He started counting. I think he got to
Right.
like anywhere between 4 and 6, but again, it's his discretion. And him and Tank had kind of been jarring all night, especially when they started trading. And with that trading, and I'm kind of speaking fast, but with that trading, it reminded me of very Floyd Mayweather-esque. Tank has a lot of Floyd in him, man. That's why he's able to really win his fights, man. The think about it. By the end of the fight, the smaller guy is walking you down. Floyd was a master at that,
Mm.
especially as Money Mayweather. People forget,
Right.
but he, after Tank got done, flirting around and circling, he just went for it and stood his ground and started trading with him with the power. But he realized Lamont was dancing with him. So
Yeah.
it's a good fight, man. It was a great fight, and I thought it saved the card, in my opinion. Even though I did enjoy the card. Um, if L Dub's listening, he'd give me gripe because he's a
Yeah.
PBC guy.
No, I thought
But I enjoy it,
overall,
man.
I thought it was a very good card. But I
Yeah,
mean,
it
in a
was premier.
way, I kind of understand though, because sometimes some fans have preferences as far as like what they're looking for in a fight card, and this one, like I realized, like well after the fights were done, I was like, wait a minute, like every fight in the pay per view portion ended with a decision for all of them. You know what I mean? And I was like, wow, I like, dang, So, but for a good amount of them, they were pretty good fights or very good fights.
No, they're excellent.
You
Even the
still got
prelims,
a good
Jay.
amount of money's worth for a number of those fights on the fight card. But going into the thing there was Steve Willis, right? And this was something where it's like, um, a number of people, a number of fans of boxing, they
Oh,
recognize Steve
wait,
Willis.
Jay, my bad. Let me finish comment on that real fast. So
Hold on.
yeah, that was a weird moment with the knee, right? But you know, it, previously before that, and during and after that situation, to me, Tank was already up by 2-3 rounds. So even if they want to grant that and take a 10-8 round, that means Tank was still up to me. Um, man, and I kind of stopped scoring it around 5 and 6 when it really got interesting when they started trading a lot, and it became a power punch battle. But at that time, I was telling my brother, I was like, "Yo, man, this is probably 3-2 Tank, or frankly, I'm not really mad at it. It could be 5-1 Tank. But Lamont is starting to come on now because he was already, when I say feeling himself, he was ready for the fight, but he gradually warmed up through the fight and got better. And like I said, he just kept coming forward and uh, was able to counter, But he took a lot of punishment, man. I mean, a lot. I mean, I saw the punch that the first knockdown on Ryan Garcia, and I saw the punch that ended Ryan Garcia. I saw that at least 3 or 4 times throughout the fight. But again, late in the fight, Lamont was so close to him and was on him. That's a good game plan that he couldn't break. Tank likes to kind of step back and deliver, have a really good shot to deliver his punching. He couldn't really get that going real
The
late.
spacing.
Yeah, the spacing. He couldn't get that going late. It was a good fight, man. But again, and then let me say this last to conclude it. Yeah, go ahead and get a rematch going. I mean, I'm not mad if there's not one, but I think that was a good enough fight to earn another rematch. And we need a big card, man, because that's good stuff right there. That's good business.
Yeah.
Go ahead and ask David Benavidez to co-main that thing and take it to Vegas. Forget DC. Take that shit to Vegas, and we're gonna
Nah,
get our money's worth
that should be
because
DC. It
that's
should be DC.
no. That's not how PBC works, though. You know this better than anybody, Jay. We
Yeah.
are a to be announced, to be seen basis. We
Now
did this great
they'll
show.
have something. I could ask some questions reference to that. Now, going into this, the thing that like I was talking about with the whole thing with the fight, and I bring up Steve Willis because Steve Willis has been like kind of like one of those referees that a number of fight fans know about. Where he has the expressions, the oohs and ahs, and getting in and out of the the way of fighters. Like, and a lot of times he gets out of the way of fighters to kind of like let them handle things. But over the past, I would say year and a half, he's kind of dwindled down a little bit, so to speak, right? And actually, for me, this is the first time I've seen Steve Willis like headline a bout of this magnitude in a good while. A number of times we would have Harvey Dock there, as I call Dave Chappelle, or you would have, I think it was like the Thomas guy. That's another referee that's usually there to headline, be the headline referee for a number of these big fights. But yeah, outside of that, yeah, I haven't really seen Steve Willis in there that much or that often. So with that being said, I mean, he has Thomas Heller, who I was thinking about. But for him to like do what he was doing there during the fight, a lot of the roughhousing was going on. A lot of the stuff that was happening, he was getting complained at and all that type of stuff. It kind of like told me like, I don't know, man. It might be a good time for him to, kind of like wind things down as far as like being a referee. I mean, we already had like a couple of referees that's been in the game for a while. That's kind of like stepped back, like Kenny Bayless stepped back. Who is Matt's favorite trainer out there? Who I kind of bring up. I bring him up a lot, but I think he recently stopped being a referee at this point too.
I like Robert Doyle, Jay.
Oh, you like Robert Doyle, but
yeah, well, mainly because I'm a little biased. I met
Reese,
him.
Jack Reese had recently left the game too, so
had to.
But a number of the referees that a lot of fight fans know about have kind of like been are at the back end of their careers at this point. And when you're like that, you kind of miss a good amount of things that you shouldn't miss in a bout or in the course of a bout, and that could really affect the results of the bout. And once you get to that point, yeah, you might have to kind of like wind things down, so to speak. There, so.
I got a question for Steph.
All right.
Yes,
sir. So Steph, you said that you had Tank winning. Can you give us more? So I also heard you say by round 6 or something, you said that it was either or 5 or 6. It's either 4-1 or 3-2, somewhere around there, right? And then
Right.
after that, what do you think happened?
After that midway point, that's when Lamont started to make his push. But those rounds could have been swing rounds and could have been really close rounds. It could have been going either or because the work rate that Tank was working, man. Lamont, yes, he was able to keep up, but he was still a punch or two backward because he was just going off Tank, man. He didn't, even when he had effective aggression, right? He's coming forward. He wasn't leading with his offense, man. It was all predicated off what Tank was doing, whether Tank was taking a break, whether he was, because Tank did a little bit of everything. He showboated. He did some low blows. He complained. He griped, but he was still working, man. He was still doing what he needed to do. If you don't believe me, again, like I said, I thought I covered this in my prequel there. I'm not a big copy box guy, but Tank dominated the fight, bro. Go look at them stats, man. If you see him, you'd be like, damn, man. I know that's not everything, right? But like,
Yeah,
you'd be
I
like,
mean,
okay, that's kind of weird.
we brought it up in reference to him having a pretty good advantage when it comes to power punches, connects and like connect percentage, that type of thing. So,
Accuracy.
that was the thing on it was the power punches.
And,
Now I said that
and you
was
can't
really,
discount that, Jay.
I
You
feel
can't.
like that was key for him to winning the majority of those rounds, particularly in the first half of the fight.
And
So,
then after
yeah.
that, he was getting tagged, in my opinion. He
Well,
was getting hit more than he hit Roach.
no. It was just clear as day, but it wasn't enough. When I say it wasn't enough, like that's what I mean with Lamont's offense. Like he was only counting, brother. He wasn't dominating or beating Tank to the punch and fight. Maybe when I say maybe, just obviously later in the late rounds where he clearly won or where we think he won. Yeah, he was doing good because he was keeping up, but he wasn't leading with his offense, man. Y'all are gonna really have to go back and watch that fight.
And so you have to lead with your offense to
To
sort of
No, I'm just speaking
win
for
the
why the
round.
judge. No. Here, sorry to cut you there, but like, let me. When I'm saying what I'm saying too, like, this is what I also think what the judges saw and what they liked or didn't like, and then obviously with the draw, I think the judges a couldn't decide who won, and b they needed to see a little bit more. That's why they got a draw.
Okay, so with that being said, and this is kind of like a take that one person that I spoke with about the fight is, and it almost goes to the generalization of, okay, you have to quote unquote take it from the champ, so to speak, right?
Hmm.
So at least in a number of the cases there, for me, I guess, live, because I was saying like in those first few rounds, you really didn't see much from both fighters. So
Hmm.
with that being said, it could be a toss-up round, as they say. And in toss-up rounds, a lot of people generalize that the judges will give it to the person that's on the A side, the person that's a defending champion and things like that, because they didn't feel like the challenger did enough in order to try to take that round from the champion.
Correct.
So
Yeah. So 7-6-1 is how I looked at it if I would have finished scoring it there, academic. But my eyes told me what they told me, like yours told you what they told you at the end of the fight, man. And my question for you is, where was Lamont winning the fight? Where was he leading the fight? When did he take over to you?
So I agree with everything you said up until round 6. So for me, up until round 6, I'm trying to remember my scorecard, but round 1 I gave Tank, and then the next, hold on, round 1 I gave. Give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
he gets to go back to his notes there in reference to
Sure,
that.
sure.
You know,
Now this is good, Jay, because like this is why we do kind of need a rematch. I'm a little indifferent on it. Like I don't really care per se, but like it for the work that got put out, it deserves a rematch. So, and plus the people
yeah,
aren't satisfied.
yeah,
So, um,
and
like I said, it needs to be a big fight too, man.
yeah,
Like
it
this is a
does,
big
it
fight,
does. And
big
and the
card.
thing about it, was is like, I wanted the rematch. A number of people there in attendance were wanting the rematch, but it almost seemed like Tank dismissed the rematch being next. And it's like,
It ain't like almost he did.
What
yeah,
you
pretty
mean by
much.
that? What do you mean by that,
So
though?
okay, so here's the thing on that, right? Here's the thing, and this is just a theory that I'm putting out there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is Gervonta Tank Davis.
Fake
Gervonta
boxing.
Tank Davis, that is, as they say, the quote unquote face of boxing. The Gervonta Tank Davis that has a deal with Amazon Prime pay per view. So my thing is, if he's on this deal with Amazon Prime pay per view, and let's say that he has what about a 6-fight deal. So let's just say he has a 6-fight deal. Okay, he's went through 2 fights on that deal. Frank Martin, Lamont Roach Jr. For his next 4 fights, they might want to see a little bit of a good return on him. So I don't know. Maybe they're trying to propose some opponents or a couple of opponents that are not Lamont Roach Jr. that they would want Tank to fight next. And seeing if Tank has those options in front of him and who out of those options that Tank would prefer the most.
The one
Now,
that would make the most money is Jake
yeah,
Paul,
that would make, that
the
would pretty
person
much
who was
make
at the
the most
fight.
money. Now on the other perspective too, and this is something that I have to follow up with Lamont Roach Sr. or Gary Jonas or the World Boxing Association. The WBA had that whole deal with Lamont Roach Jr. going into this fight that, hey, okay, if you win, you have a choice to, stay there at 135 or go back to 130 and defend your title. If you lose, then you go back down to 130 and you're ordered to fight your mandatory there at 130. Now that this is a draw, what are they going to say? Are they going to say, hey, are y'all really interested in a rematch? Because if so, cool, we'll do the same thing as last time. But if not, then Lamont Roach Jr. has to go ahead and defend his mandatory or fight against the mandatory there. You know what I mean? So with
To
that
add to
being
that,
said,
Jay,
I mean, like I said, I would want to contact Gary Jonas since he's still tied with Lamont Roach Jr. and Lamont Roach Sr. Particularly with Lamont Roach Sr. because they got like a great deal with No Excuse Promotions. But I would want to see if the WBA kind of like follows up with that here in the next couple of days with Lamont Roach Jr. and his status as a 130-pound champion.
I see. I just want to add to that because I watched a lot of media on Lamont this whole build up to this fight. I was watching videos from that he made last summer, early spring, and that's actually when Tank and them called him. So he's been training for this fight for almost over a little over a year, almost a year, pretty much. But fast forward a little bit, on the Breakfast Club, they asked him, they said, if you win, what's next? And he said, I would have to, talk with my father and so forth and team do that. But he said, if I win, then yeah, I would stay at 135. Like he said that.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I thought that was striking for me. I was like, oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, but I mean that goes back into what I was saying about Lamont Roach Jr. in general. Like he started his career around that weight class. He just got down to 130. What about 5 or 6 fights in
Yeah.
his pro career? So and you know how it is with like fighters, they get down to that particular weight that they compete in. So it's like, well, if he was already, there around that 135 to start off his career, then, he's just, getting down to the point where he gets to 130. And he didn't really do that from a consistent basis until like what, 2 or 3 years after his pro debut. So,
Excellent performance, though, from both
I have a
men.
I
Both
have an
those
answer
black
to you,
guys,
Steph,
they did
about
that
my
shit.
scorecards.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Yep. So round one, I gave to Roach. And round two, do you want me to give you a small synopsis or just tell you the
Yeah,
round?
whatever you want to do, man. I
Yeah.
got no
yeah,
beef,
see if
man.
we can go
No
through
beef.
that here real quick.
Just say the round, right? And
Yeah.
who I
Yeah,
had.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So round 1, Roach. Round 2, Tank. Round 3, Tank. Round 4, I called an even round, but I was leaning toward Roach. Round 5, Tank. Round 6, Tank. So after 6 rounds, I had it 1,
It's like
2.
four to one with one toss up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay, for your fast counting. 4-1 with one toss up. Round 7, I gave to Roach. So to answer your question, you asked me at what point did I have Roach up. So round 7, I gave Roach. Round 8, I gave to Roach. Round 9, I gave to Roach. Round 10, I had an even round, but I was leaning toward Roach again. Round 11, Roach, and round 12, Roach. So after round 7, Roach took over to me, and it was one round in there where I'm like, yeah, they both didn't do enough, and I'm not sure, it just kind of really depend on what you think. So, I mean, JR would have to do the
Academic
math for me.
Mm.
in those last rounds. Say I don't know. Let's say let's say rounds 8 through 12. Did you think what was Lamont punching more, or was he landing more? Was he more accurate? Was he controlling it? What was it? Why did you give him those rounds?
So my common theme in round 9, Davis did something weird. So in that round,
That's the round he went down, where he
that's
took the
around he
knee.
went down. He went
Yeah.
down. So that kind of threw me off him doing that. But my last comment was Roach still landing shots. Round 10, I said Roach landing clean shots. Tank landed shots too, and that's my even round there. Round
Mm.
11, Roach got the better of the round. So to me, Roach was getting the better of the exchanges when they were exchanging. Roach was getting the better of the exchanges, and then round 12, I said Roach finished stronger. Like he was getting the better of the exchanges, and he was landing cleaner shots to me.
Okay. I'm not mad at that, brother. I'm not mad. No beef. He buckled Tank probably 3 or 4 times, and then out of those 3 or 4 times, Tank backed up, like took a big step back. But only because he took the shot. So he's like he got
Yeah.
wobbled backward, meaning. But
Mm.
uh, I mean, hey man, I also just want to add, I saw Tank throwing a lot of bombs, man, that made old boy stop in his tracks too. But
It's
this is why we're calling for a rematch. I'm
yeah,
not mad at
and
that. That's what's up.
yeah,
That's what's
it
up.
was really it's really close for a number of those rounds. But in the point where we were making the reference to Tank as far as like what he is able to do from a power punching perspective, like he kind of like outlanded Lamont Roach on power shots for like a good number of those rounds in the second half of the fight too. So that
All of
was the
them,
thing
and they
that
were
kind of like
combos. They were combinations.
yeah,
It's crazy.
and the thing was, it was like that was key for him to get a few of those rounds there. But like I said, one of the judges had like the last 4 rounds in favor of Lamont Roach Jr. there in the back end. So you got to see like how different people kind of like prefer what they're looking for in their round by round. But yeah, it does constitute for a rematch. Like I said, you just have to wait and see what they're going to do here over the next few weeks or few months. But as I had put out there, that particular theory in reference to the deal that Tank Davis has, we'll see. It says Terrence here says that Roach is 130-pound champ in the new 135-pound champ. We all saw the fight. Give him his props. I mean, yeah. I mean, like I was saying there, I had it. Just watching it live. What I can. I thought it was like 7 rounds to 5 in favor of Lamont Roach Jr. It's just that hey, the judges felt a different way. You know what I mean? And especially when I said that a few judges had it like 5 rounds to 1, 59-55 in favor of Tank Davis through 6 rounds. So when you have something like that, that's a huge hurdle to try to get over in order to get back in the fight there. So it was
See,
something. But
you see, Jay, they just they want to
you
discount all the stuff that he was actually accounted for. Talking about Tank, so I'm just
well,
like, you can't,
but
man. Like that actually
again,
happened.
but again, it goes to what I was talking about as far as like judges and how they view fights in comparison to how a lot of us view fights. we view fights in TV with different angles and all that type of stuff, but there's some things that we're able to see that these judges can't see. So they interpret it, they likely interpret it a different way than we do. So
Definitely,
you just pretty
definitely.
let's put that into account. So try to
Can I
put
make one comment real quick?
wrap this part up because that is about almost over an hour and 30 minutes talking about that particular fight. We still got a lot more things to go here when it comes to the rest of this fight card. Wanted to get into the co-feature bout there as you had the WBA Super Lightweight Championship on the line with Jose Raul Valenzuela defending the title there with his first defense against Gary Antoine Russell. Of course, you had Raul Valenzuela win that belt from Isaac Pitbull Cruz that her brother Joe heavily criticized. He can't necessarily join us here again. He had a few things he had to take care of. So otherwise, he would have been able to, call back. But Ryo was able to get the win over Pitbull Cruz there last August in Los Angeles to win the WBA belt. And you had Gary Antoine Russell, who, was undefeated, had like a knockout streak or a stoppage streak up until he fought Alberto Puello last June, where that fight went the full 12 rounds and it was a split decision, not in his favor. So he was, coming back here in this one in a full world title belt, as that last one was for the interim WBC belt, and they, just elevated Puello to full champ. So with Russell, it's like he really felt like he didn't lose that fight, but in multiple conversations I had with him over the past couple months, he kind of like said, you know what? There are a couple things in that fight where I felt like I was off my game. So for this one, I'm not going to have that happen. And from round one, we saw that, he would not allow that to happen one bit. He was, like the much faster fighter. He was the one that like pressed the action for pretty much like all the rounds. And he would not let Ryo take the momentum from him at any point, even when there were times when Raul Valenzuela landed some good power shots on Gary Antoine Russell. He said, nope, we're not going to allow you to have more than one of those power shots land on me like that. And he was just, poised, composed in all facets, even when he had like a couple of points where he could have scored a knockdown on Ryo or like had it to where maybe the referee could have stepped in and stopped the fight. But then Ryo would like throw a couple of shots and land one or two, and Antoine just stepped back, composed himself and just, went back to could have went back to the jab, moving around a little bit, spaced himself out, just to say like, hey, I'm not going to make a mistake to where you could have a shot to get back in the fight. Nope. Didn't allow that to happen. And so went through those full 12 rounds and he dominated. One score that was a clean sweep, two scores where it was like 11 rounds to one for him to win and be the new WBA super lightweight champion. So we pretty much have had a new WBA super lightweight champion for the past few fights. What do we have, man? What you had Rolly Romero, of course, Zoe's favorite fighter. Isaac Cruz, Zoe's second most favorite fighter. And then Raul Valenzuela. And then now you got Gary Antoine Russell. But this one is like, where they like say, finally, all the, the talk and the buildup of Gary Antoine Russell, it pretty much like came to a full, stop there with that win for him to become the WBA super lightweight champion. And it was just a great performance from him in this sense. And kind of like said that, hey, this is a guy that could potentially stand out as maybe the top fighter at 140 pounds, but he still has, a lot to go there within that particular division. Of course, we have the lineal champion, WBO champion there, Teofimo Lopez, is going to be involved in a fight card there in May, right? You got Richard Hitchens, who, recently won the IBF belt, that who won it from Liam Perro, who won it from Subio Matias. So you got a whole bunch of, of belts just flipping around here in the super lightweight division. But yeah, the thing is, it was that Gary Antoine just had a great overall performance. I was definitely proud of him. Of course, me being a media member, but having the history that I have with the Russell family over the course of all these years I've kind of covered this sport, that this is something to where you've seen it semi full circle with Gary Russell Jr. being the long-standing WBC featherweight champion, and then Gary Antoine Russell getting to this point to become the WBA super lightweight champion. I'm gonna start here with Boxer Academic, man. Just share your thoughts on that fight and what you thought of Russell's performance.
So what my normal sort of perspective of Russell was that he had like a mauling style, probably even more mauling than Sean Porter was, or reminiscent of an early Sean Porter. Sean Porter kind of calmed down a bit too. But in this fight, I saw a refined sort of style from him. It wasn't just like the mauling style. It was more finesse in his own way. And so the clear rounds, you could even say he went clear rounds when he used to maul people too, because he used to just get people out of there. But he did a great job to where it didn't look like wild in the sense. It didn't look mauling, but it looked more refined in his own kind of way. He did get a little bit impatient toward the end of the fight, and then he got a bit reckless to me, and he started having shots landed on him. So if I had to put any knock on him outside of his superb performance, is that he got a little bit impatient and he started trying to force stuff, and then some shots landed. And I'm just thinking in my mind what you said: do not let this dude hit you. You've been doing so well, and you literally could box off your back foot and win this fight if you wanted to. And then he got, anxious where he was trying to knock him out. And then it's like 4 or 5 punches that landed on him, and big punches that landed on him in them last couple rounds. And he took them well, but yeah, it's just more punches for my comfort when you got that big of a lead. But good job to Russell though.
Yeah, it's a thing there where it was kind of to the point where maybe you've seen those elements of where he had those defensive lapses or something like that. But with that being said, he was able to compose himself and things like that. Man, I gotta figure out what's going on with the phone lines here. We'll see if I could get another person here to join here on the live chat here. Hold on just a moment.
You are kind of flickering in and out there though, Jay.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with this, man. I might have to post a complaint to the to the service provider. I don't know
to the YouTube community.
Let's see here, man. I'm gonna see if we could get someone else here to join us here, man. Let's see if that could go on here as well, and they'll be able to have their take on with this also. But if not, it looks like they got like 3, 4. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I'll see what's going on with it, because man, yeah, it's supposed to be freaking working, and they ain't even. It's whatever. You know what I mean? But yeah, with that being said, yeah, the thing with Gary Antoine Russell, you could see some of those elements where he still has those times where he gets caught with big shots. But here in this case against Jose Valenzuela, it didn't get too much for him. So he kind of recalibrated himself and just took the fight to Rayo Valenzuela, and Rayo just really couldn't handle that pressure coming forward like that, because even though he did face like an Ishak Cruz style is not, like, as you said, Box Academic, as refined as a Gary Antoine Russell when it comes to the offense type thing. So I feel like Antoine was able to properly execute his game plan, but the other thing that you talked about there, Box Academic, was that you said that he kind of like has a style like Sean Porter, and that reminded me of the time when before Gary Antoine Russell fought Kent Cruz. I brought that up to Gary Antoine Russell, and he was like, nah, I'm not. I don't have that style. Nah, I don't know who would say that, but nah, I don't have that type of style like Sean Porter. But I mean, a few people like seen him over the, in the past few fights, and they say like it's almost like a Sean Porter, but he feels like it's something different. And the way he was able to execute there against Raul Valenzuela there, it was very, very, very good. And him getting just about clean sweep on the scorecards, that was just a great performance by him. And, after the fight, he said, listen, I want that get back with Alberto Puello. And, given that Puello did win, which is really key there in a sense for this particular fight to happen again. But given that we talked about, or I talked about the other champions there in Teofimo Lopez and with Richardson Hitchens, that Teofimo Lopez is booked in there. What is it going to be? He is gonna be on the fight on Friday, May 2nd. It's gonna be Friday, May 2nd there, as he's gonna be facing Arnold Barbosa. So Teofimo Lopez already
real
has
quick, Jay. Is Barbosa gonna be ready for that? He just fought 2 weekends ago. And look, I want that. I hope so. But today's boxers, man, just don't do things like that. They just don't.
Well, I mean, if they're announcing it, I guess he may have agreed to it. I mean, he's going to be there in attendance for the press conference coming up in 2 days. So
Okay. All right.
on him, I guess he's ready.
I want to go. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Get the tickets soon. Yeah, I really want to see that. Go
Oh
Dev.
man. Shout out L. Boston in the building, man. What's good with you, man? What's good with you? Yeah, and the thing is though, with this super lightweight situation, it kind of like makes it to where, hey, we gotta see that fight again between Gary Antoine Russell and Alberto Puello, this time for a unification. And so him having that performance kind of like boosted, the likelihood that that fight could happen again here real soon. But you have that on one side, and then the other side with Raul Valenzuela, falling short, and it was just it just looked like a systematic beatdown. Like he really couldn't compete. He really couldn't keep up there with Gary Antoine Russell, and with him being that's it. He's like a former champion, but now where would he stand now in the rankings there at the super lightweight division? That's going to be the question. I want to see like what they would have in store for Raul Valenzuela after this particular fight. I mean, I wasn't too sure about how the WBA rankings were before this fight took place, but if this was like a voluntary defense, are they saying that maybe he could, activate a rematch clause? I don't know, and it is not looking all too good that they want to go ahead and have Gary Antoine Russell have a rematch there with Raul Valenzuela, especially given that it was almost a clean sweep. What would be the point of having a rematch? So that being said, I would like to know what Raul Valenzuela does at this particular point too. And, for some that have kind of like followed Raul Valenzuela, I mean, he, for some time had been under, Team Benavidez there, but then recently changed to, Robert Garcia. And you had a little bit of things there going on between Raul Valenzuela and Jose Benavidez Sr. So, and
Very familiar.
right now, I'm not all too sure if they have completely settled that. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I would
I'm
like to
familiar with
see
that.
where they would put Rayo Valenzuela in the rankings first in the WBA or whatnot. So let's see here. I want to see if we got a call in here. Checking in 817 area code. What's going on?
What's up, Texas?
Hold on. Let's see here. I'm trying to get him on. All right, you on with us? All right, you got to turn the radio down there. We got you. Hello? Yeah. You had the thing playing there in the background. What's going on?
JR, he doesn't sound good on our end, on my end.
Yeah.
You still got the thing playing though. You got to cut the. Yeah, we still got an echo though, man.
He sound far away from me.
You got to close YouTube and just be on the line.
Yeah. He had to. Yeah, he didn't really handle all that, so he probably had to call back. You know what I mean? Because I think we were still, on the YouTube and didn't mute the YouTube though. So yeah, I was talking about the thing there with Rayo Valenzuela though, and I got to see what path that he has in order to get back into it, and I'm not all too sure here at this particular point how they're gonna do it. So I have to figure it out somehow.
Well, talking about the fight actually with Rayo and Antoine, I was wrong, man. I chose Rayo in this. Perhaps I was a little bit biased because I was kind of following his training sessions leading up to this fight, and I'm very familiar with what you're saying with the Benavidez Senior, and him switching on over. They were actually in like a legal battle there, and it's Benavidez Senior nowadays, in my opinion, is a little bit better about it. I was reading some things on Boxing Scene about that, quoting him, kind of paraphrasing, and then they only really want the best for him, but technically he was still under contract, and he was, when you are, yeah, they collect. So yeah, it is interesting seeing what's going to happen going forward. Um, as far as the fight, so yeah, I chose Rayo. I thought with him being defeated, like knocked out cold by De Los Santos, and then losing to Chris Colbert, you know, I was impressed with him. And he's got some blessings to get some high ranking spots to be fighting in these meaningful fights. But I liked how he bounced back from those and kind of refined his style. He went from like kind of hardcore boxer puncher with a little bit of pop at the end of his punches to just kind of boxing here lately, moving, in my opinion, over there with Robert. So I thought that would prevail. I thought he would have to definitely weather some storms, but I thought he would get through that and listen to his corner. And then fight week showed up, and we're all talking about it. And then I heard someone say this. I wish I remembered the name because I want to give them credit on it. It made me think. But someone said midweek last week that it's a toss up fight. It's a 50-50 because we don't really know what kind of Ryo we're gonna get because of what Antoine's gonna bring to the table. And he's got a lot of sting on the end of his punches too. Getting people up out of there. So it kind of depended on how Raya was going to respond to his punching power and how long he was going to keep letting someone beat on him like that. Was he going to sit there and let him beat on him and then kind of start going, going for broke, taking risk, leaving your chin out there with this guy? Or was he going to box and punch and box with him? But you fast forward to the fight, that happened and he just shrunk, man. He had nothing for the Antoine. I don't even think he won a round, man. That was a clean sweep.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give him a round, but I saw him fighting through, the mind demons, trying to get it done, but he had nothing for Antoine. Antoine was way too elusive for him, in my opinion. He was way too much for him. And I'm not a big Antoine fan. I'm not. I like him. I think he's cool. I think he's just another guy. I've seen him get better, but the lapses that he does present, his deficiencies that he does present, I don't think. I think the top guys, the next level above him, beat him every time because of those. given to what academics said. Late in the fight, he was trying to force things, but he said it even in his post-fight interview. You know, he listened to his corner, and his older brother was, you know, he was doing a good job, giving him good instruction and motivating him and letting him know what it is, keeping his mind in the game, for sure. I was impressed by that, but yeah, just, you know, just okay, man. Like, cool, you got the belt. You know what? I want to see you and Kenny Sims. I want to see my boy Kenny Sims get a real shot. I got Kenny over you. I got Tio over you. Uh,
Kenny.
uh, Kenny Sims. Yeah, I want to see that. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. I want to see that. Kenny's been waiting for years, man. And he's got a secondary belt. That's all he's gotten. Let's give him a shot. And he's had to go through some smoke in the last 18 months. You know, his last 2 fights have been tough. Talking about Kenny.
Ooh.
But that's just me. Yeah, and who else? You got who's the other champion? I said Tio.
Yeah. You
Uh,
have Africa. You know, Richard
he can beat Richardson Higgins. I'm not big on him at all, but it was, you know.
To be honest with you, I'm not right now. I'm not real big on Teofimo Lopez.
Well, Tio's inconsistent. I don't blame you, but Tio's, you know, Tio's a bad boy, man. He can fight. He can fight. I'm not gonna say he can't. He's beat all the great white hypes. He beat Loma and he beat that other guy.
Yeah, but certain styles he hasn't been able to properly adjust to, so it kind of like makes him.
Well, that's why I got question marks on everybody.
Yeah,
Everybody's got question
that's
marks.
the thing about the 140-pound division is you have a
Everybody,
question mark for everybody that's out there,
even outside that division. My favorite fighter, I got question marks on them now.
you know.
I want to see him mix it up.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, we got to see like what these fighters.
And then Puello beat him already. So if they fought in 6 months, I'd take Puello because
I wouldn't.
I still saw the same deficiencies on why he lost to Puello last night. And Puello's got to get better.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the difference. I feel like here's the difference between what happened in that fight and what happened in the rematch. I didn't feel like Russell was very aggressive there in the first fight, at least not in the second half of the fight.
So that's what I really want to say. And you said it right there. You want to know why, man? Because he's not that good. Puello is a boxer and was making him think and he couldn't get to him. His intelligence. No. I'm being for real, man. And like that's what bothers me about this. Like they need training. I'm sorry, they need training, bro.
I get you on that front, but for me, I don't think Puello is at that level where he's multiple steps above someone like a Gary Antoine Russell.
That's true. No, that's true. I agree with you there too.
So the thing about it is like in a rematch, I don't see where Puello does something different to what Gary Antoine Russell has been able to do here, at least particularly in this fight against Raul Valenzuela, that says, okay, he still would have the advantage. He would still have the advantage over Gary Antoine Russell. And with that being said, because you got to keep this thing flowing, we go into that fight with Puello versus Sandor Martin. Right now, full disclosure, going into this fight, okay, hold on, we gonna try this once again. Hold on.
I was rooting Sandor, by the way.
All right, hold on.
I thought Puello would win.
Yo, 817. Yeah, I'm here. All right, bet. We got you, man. Well, what's happening with you?
Am I connected to you guys?
Yeah, we all good. We hear you.
All right, check this out, man. Puello, right? And Antoine, right? I saw the fight, okay? Antoine won the fight. He said it. He told us all. He did not listen to his corner. That's the difference between the fight last night and when he fought Puello. If he just said it again like the other guy just said, he wins easy.
Yeah. I mean, hey, he's been talking to me multiple times, about there in the area. So Hey, when I had the first conversation with him after the initial conference call, and then when I followed up there at the gym, like I said, I follow up with him at the gym after the conference call, and then what it was like a week before the fight, was talking with him, and he's like saying, "Hey, that was the whole thing that he was saying about that fight against Puello. He just didn't listen to his corner. He didn't listen to, as I said, Big Gary. You know what I mean?"
The last night, whenever at the press conference, he said, I think you asked him, or someone else asked him, they said, what did you do different in this fight? He said, I listened.
Yeah, that was
the difference. And he did feel right, and I like the guy. But Antoine did what he's supposed to do. He said he was going to get the strap. He said, everybody at 140, I'm coming to get you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And multiple times, what did he say? He said it to me. I don't care if he won. I don't care if he loses. If he lost and I got all the belts, I still would want to fight Alberto Puello. Because he wants that lick back. I'm telling you, he does not feel like, one, that he lost that fight, but two, that in any sense of the imagination that Puello is better than him, not by any stretch. So if it's next or later on down the line, he will want that fight. Yeah.
Okay, so check this out. I'm just going to jump back to. I'm gonna jump back to quick.
Plus unification.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Tank is supposed to be the big dog, right?
That's what they say. The quote unquote face of boxing, right?
Tank's supposed to be the big dog. Everyone down Roach, right?
Everyone outside of the DMV area, right?
Yeah, everyone down Roach, right? But anyway, check this out. I'm gonna just make this really quick. Antoine got beat by Puello. He just won last night. He said, I want Puello or Field. You gotta come see me. All right. Why the hell did you say that today? Why you say, you know what? I gotta get this man a rematch.
That's the same point that was raised. Yeah. That's the point that I was raising earlier, because I'm like saying, why is it that if you're with my theory, why is it that he's the face of boxing? If you feel like you should say you're definitively the winner, get that back, right? All right, so that's why I had the theory in reference to the thing with Amazon Prime, right? But with that result being what it is, it reminded me of, even though this person won, it reminded me of the first fight between Floyd Mayweather and Marcos Maidana. There was enough demand for a rematch, and it happened next, didn't it? So with that being said,
I see where you're going with this, dude. I see where you're going with this when you put Mayweather in there. But check this out.
Mm-hmm.
That was Mayweather's ego. Mayweather said, I could beat Maidana. I beat Maidana. Everyone says there's a question mark on it, so let's run it back. I'm going to kick his ass again. And that's what Antoine said. I need Puello again. Now, what is Tate saying? I heard something on another podcast today where you're supposed to fight your boy again. Why is Tate still fighting the old people? Let's go up, bro. We're supposed to be moving forward.
Okay. I heard this also. Like, it could potentially be Isaac Cruz. And I'm telling you, he can't fight Isaac Cruz. There's no real point of fighting Isaac Cruz right now. There's no point. Okay, listen. He had a great fight. He had a great fight in his fight that happened on February 1st. I felt like that was one of the best fights that I've seen live this year. But with that being said, we don't need to revisit that fight. And to be honest with you, going by my theory, and I'm being real with you, okay? If that was one of the fights that was proposed to him, that I wouldn't like that one bit. I wouldn't like that one bit because, like you said, there's no point in revisiting that fight. There's no point in revisiting it. There is
what I'm saying is, he's not doing what Roy did, going forward, get my money back, or Antoine said, I got to get Taylor back. Devon said he don't beat all those other guys. He ain't got nothing to talk to those guys. Let's go see you up here with the big boys. Y'all already putting Roach out there. He just played last night.
hey, and the thing is too.
We talk about Shakur. We always talk about Shakur and Roach. They talk your boy Keyshawn Davis came on, talking about he'll beat both of them. You know what? Keyshawn a bad dude. I'm through. Yeah.
Hey, now I mean to be honest with you,
But I'm just saying they already pushing Roach to fight the big dogs. So we ain't pushing Fish to fight the big dogs. And I know we were talking about Antoine Russell, but it bothered me earlier. That's all I'm saying.
yeah. So that's the thing about it. It's like it almost seemed like they already had a plan for Tank right after this fight, regardless of if it was a win or a draw. They were like gonna move on from Lamont Roach Jr. after this. The only way that it wouldn't happen is if he lost the fight to Lamont Roach Jr., right? So for me, I'm like, why would that be the case if, one, you had as I say, pretty much an estimated $8 million gate at the Barclays Center. That's what I'm looking at it as. You got to see what they were able to do as far as like returns for the pay-per-view. So if you have that, and then you have the after the fact word of mouth type stuff where they say, oh, look at what happened in this fight, look what happened here, look at what Lamont Roach Jr. did. He made, as they would say, he made Tank Davis look beatable in a sense. So of course you want to try to run that back. If you're a guy that's been, as we've been mentioning here, a top 10 pound for pound fighter, and then you face someone in Lamont Roach, and then Lamont Roach gives you this particular type of run where it ends up being a draw. So why not run that back? I wanted it to be, for it to run that back because, of course, me being the selfish person that I am, I want it back at Capital One Arena where it should have been in the first place. But we have to go ahead and see there. You know what I mean?
What said that two fights. I win the first one, I'm going to get you in the second one. That means automatic rematch, right?
Yeah, that's what it should be.
That's what it sounds like.
Now, the thing about it is that it kind of like has, when it comes to world title defenses, is that like if it's a draw, the champion isn't necessarily obligated to provide a rematch. But in this sense, I would want to say that they should have a rematch, because what's going to be the alternative for both fighters? Gave Maidana a rematch. But on that front, though, well, he actually had the win on that against Maidana, though. And he still gave him a rematch. But for both fighters, what could be out there that's next? For Lamont Roach, I was saying it earlier, right? Lamont Roach. I hope so. I hope so.
Like you said, Cake already is a diva. He's a diva. Come on, man. Your boys go.
You ain't the only one that said that. You ain't the only one that has said that.
Who's that talking about?
No, me.
Who's that?
No, the host. You hear me?
That's talking.
Now I was saying that you're not the first person that said that Tank is a diva. I'll just say that.
Oh, okay.
You know, so the thing is like I was saying with Roach, with it being a draw and him being the WBA 130-pound champion, what is the WBA going to do in this sense?
35 new champion.
New champion. Yeah, like you said on the joint. Man, like I said, I'd have to get in contact with the WBA because the way that they approached this fight was like, hey, if Roach wins, you got a choice to keep one of them belts. If you lose, you have to fight the mandatory at 130. With it being a draw, what are they going to do? And shout out by guy Smitty still on the chat here. It said, what is the PBC going to allow it? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. But that, that's a like I said, it's going to be a real interesting situation here over the next few weeks to see what was going to go on with all parties, with Tank Davis, with Lamont Roach Jr., with the World Boxing Association. Are they going to allow the rematch? Why not? A number of the people that are involved with Premier Boxing Champions for this particular event were really happy with the event, really happy with it. So they would not mind the rematch at all.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. It was a good card. All of that was great. But what we're talking about is the rematch, and Ace said he's not giving the rematch. Roach said before they fought, 2-fight deal. 2 fights. I'm going to beat you the first time. Then you're going to have a second one. I'm going to beat you. And then I'm going to ask them to let me go up to 140. That's where Antoine Russell is, okay? That's how bad Roach is. Roach said, I think it all coming. He's like David Benavidez. Whoever wants it can get it.
Yeah. I mean, hey, remember, before all of this was going down, right? You had him going back and forth with O'Shaquie Foster. Right? So he doesn't care who's on the other side. He's ready. He will be ready to fight any of those guys. And
everybody's talking. Everyone up until last night saying Roach could not do it. You said it. You boy that's the boxing exclusive or whatever.
Academic.
The other guy over here. Everybody counted Roach out. Roach went out there, he did his thing. Let's give him his props.
Yeah. I couldn't really hear him, so I don't know what he said about it.
He's saying that we counted Roach out going into the fight.
Okay. All of you guys did.
I did not.
I didn't either.
I did not. I'm very familiar with Lamont Roach.
Given his past, given his track record, he was going to make this very competitive.
I thought he was going to get knocked out past like round 6 or 7. That's what I thought. Based on his tendencies. That's just what I saw.
Well, for me, Tank did a well representation like a star should. He said that.
Hold on.
But you didn't say that yesterday.
Hold on. Repeat that.
The boxing exquisite guy.
Or academic.
His scorecard is twice already.
Mm-hmm.
He had Lamont Roach there. He did not have Lamont Roach when he just said that get knocked out in the 6th round.
Can you repeat what he said?
That in your scorecard, you have Lamont Roach winning, but before the fight, you didn't have him winning. I
I mean,
mean,
it's a pre-fight. It's a
yeah,
pre-fight assessment.
yeah,
What?
yeah.
Am I gonna get knocked on that? Because
Like,
I judge a fight off of tendencies,
yeah,
and based off tendencies,
and
Lamont
pattern.
Roach don't move his head, and I expected either a overhand shot or uppercut, which Tank didn't throw as many as I thought he would throw. I expected one of those to land after round 7.
Were you able to hear that, Terrence?
Yeah, I did. Remember what I'm saying is, I heard what you said, but it makes sense. What I'm saying is, no one gave Roach a chance. Roach went out there and none of his business, man.
Okay. so
All
I
right.
mean, we so I mean, I get what she's saying on that front, but that goes to what I was talking about pretty much at the start. When you have it to where only a few people within the area, within localized area, that have seen Lamont Roach since his amateur days, know what he's about. A lot of people outside of this area don't know about that Lamont Roach. So in that sense, they're not going to give him much of a chance. That is why they had the odds as wide as they did.
Okay, check this out, sir. Check this out, sir. You guys are up there in up in Buffalo. I'm in Dallas, Texas. I don't even know. I didn't know who Lamont Roach was until this fight started. That man said he was going to go out there, handle his business, and I believe what he said. He did what he said.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Dallas, Texas.
Mm-hmm. But would you? Okay, so with him saying that, right?
He's saying
And
Roach said that.
and hold on, what you academic? What you saying?
He's saying Roach said he's gonna go and handle his business. Is that who he's saying?
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Okay.
So now with that, right? Like I was saying, leading into the fight, going into the fight, with both of them knowing each other from the past, both of them being in the same gyms with, working on stuff, preparing for fights over the course of their professional careers, they have that familiarity. But if a lot of people don't know that, they're just going to walk in there thinking it's Tank Davis, 30-0, 28 KOs, going up against Lamont Roach Jr. So they're not gonna go into it.
No, sir. I understand what you're saying with that. They're familiar with each other. They know each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's all fine and good, dude. So what I'm saying is, Lamont Roach was not like Frank Martin when he walked in that ring. He was like, let's get that boogie.
Oh yeah. Like if you're gonna compare it to like Frank Martin, then yeah, nah, that's completely different. Because I mean, you've seen what the lead up was with the Frank Martin fight, right? Like Tank Davis is like, oh, look at this and teasing him, and then like stepping up to him in that initial press conference in Las Vegas. What was that? Last May, right? And you kind of seen it to a certain extent with Tank Davis with Lamont Roach in those two press conferences earlier in New York and in DC. Then what went on in Fight Week, right? These like Lamont Roach Jr. didn't back down in any case.
Right.
So he knows about Tank Davis and what he does. So he's not gonna be phased by any of that type of stuff. So if you have that type of mentality, then you're not necessarily gonna go into the fight like, oh, it's Tank Davis. He's this guy, like I said, 30-0, 28 KOs. Oh, I gotta be really careful. No, I know this dude. I work with this dude. I know his tendencies. I know where I could, get to his weaknesses, be able to pick spots, score when I can, get out the pocket when I can, and get the most out of what I could do there in exchanges with him. A lot of the other opponents don't necessarily have that, you know. So if the folks within the area know that, is one thing, but the majority of the people don't know that, so they just go off of what they have, as they say, on paper.
Well, let me clarify, because I want to distinguish myself from what y'all describing.
Hey, Terrence, you can hear Academic.
Yeah, I can hear.
All right, go ahead, Academic.
Yeah, I want to distinguish myself from what I'm describing because I like I get he's saying in general, but for me, I've watched 3 of maybe Roach's fights. I've watched maybe all of Tank Davis fights of him being at the elite level. I've watched some things where again I see where Lamont Roach don't necessarily get his head off the line, and so looking at tendencies, not knowing their history of fighting 2 times and that they really knew each other. I didn't know that part, but I'm saying tendencies led me to believe what I believe, which was he was going to get knocked out. Now, keeping his hands up and things like that, I think he did a great job of that. That's not something that I just necessarily noticed from watching his few fights because I wasn't looking for it. But I think he did a great job for the most part keeping his hands up. He got a good chin. But yeah, tendencies, I thought with his tendencies, that would get him knocked out. But with his chin, with him knowing Tank, with him having a great game plan, he did what he needed to do. Well, sort of.
Hold on, you seeing who was speaking? That's Academic. That was Academic. That was Academic there speaking.
The exquisite boxing academic.
Check this out, man. You seem like you're a debater. I'm not. All I'm saying is, Little gave Roach a chance. Roach said, whatever happened to, hey, we all talk about the fight, the best fight the best. And Roach said, I'm the best. King said he the best. Who won last night?
It was a tie. But the only thing I don't agree with what you're saying is just because somebody say they're gonna go in the ring and do their thing, that to me in the very I'm not knocking your perspective, but I'm saying I base my opinion off of what I see, not off what somebody tell me they're gonna do.
Yeah, but you know he said what he was gonna do, and he did it.
You're right, he did. You're right, he did.
Now, hold on. Now, Terrence, with that being said, right? I'll give another example, so to speak, right? Of like someone that may have been like I wouldn't know if he was like a significant underdog, but on paper, like a number of people felt like he wouldn't have won this fight, right? Teofimo Lopez going up against George Kambosos Jr., right? Leading into that fight, George Kambosos Jr. said multiple times over and over and over that he felt like he could beat Teofimo Lopez. Now, do you think that he had that same type of mentality as Lamont Roach Jr. did going into the fight?
I think Lamont Roach had the type of mentality that Joe Frazier had when he kicked Muhammad Ali.
He went way back with that one.
Yeah, deep.
I mean, the only way that what you're saying sort of goes in line is because of the outcome. But typically, the main guy wins, and everybody say that they're gonna kick each other butt. Like, I mean, that's kind of normal. Where people say, "Oh, I got your number," "Oh, I got your number," and then it just so happened that the cards fell where he had his number. But that I don't think that's a normal thing where the favorite does not win.
That's what he told Muhammad Ali and everybody else. You just wait. That's what Lamont Roach said. You got to get in the room with me, Case. You can sit there and argue with the crowd. You can talk about my mom. You can say some shit about my dad. Baby, you gotta fight me, and I'm gonna kick your ass.
That was pretty much like what he was saying in the New York, in DC press conference, right? Like,
He's talking about his mama.
Yeah. Like Tank was like saying, "Hey, don't bring your mom, don't bring your family, don't bring them to the fight, don't bring them." You know what I mean? Update there with shout out Smitty there. He says at WBA president just told Ring Magazine he's poised to pursue a rematch with Tank Davis and Lamont Roach Jr. All right, I'm gonna follow up with Gilberto Mendoza too, because I talked with him during that fight week. And
real fast, Jay. Real fast. Why is a belt sanctioning president speaking on that? Like what?
hey, it's no different than our guy, the WBC president saying it.
Like, man, that's kind of. I mean, same thing with him too. Like, what y'all talking about, man? Like, what?
You know, come on, man. Come on, Steph. You know what that's all about. Come on.
Dang, man. Like, that's crazy.
Come on.
Shit.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing there with Lamont Roach Jr. Like he had it in his mind from the jump that he knew that he could, be right there with Tank Davis. It's just that a lot of people outside that didn't know about him didn't think so.
Let that man stand on his word, because we as men, that's what we do. We stand on our word.
Mm-hmm.
So that man said he was going to go out there and get it. He went out there and got it, and came after him like a little girl, like everybody say he is. You had hair, you got grease in your eye. He was complaining one time and he didn't quit. That was your boy Zoe. The boy Zoe in his prison was arguing about that shit. But yeah, man, come on, man.
That's what they all say, man. You know, they want you to lose when you get the top.
Now, the thing with the back and forth with Zoe is that, like I said, he has a long-standing history with the thing about Tank Davis. It's just that, some of the things that Tank has done over recently, has kind of like turned off a few people. So that's kind of like been to the point where a number of people that used to be with Tank are starting to fall away from, side with Tank on that front.
Yeah, and they want him to lose now, and that's fine. I ain't got no beef. I'm just calling for what it is, When you're on top, they don't want you, Yeah, they don't want you to win. They want to see you lose.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
They 10 o'clock. Wait, what? Man, I hadn't talked about the
We haven't got the Pollo and Sandor.
And Pollo Sandor and the Yoenis Tejas, Julian J. Rock Williams.
Hey, I got something for you, JR.
All right.
If they have a rematch, I still think Pollo's style is semi-kryptonite for Russell, because the space where Russell sort of comes in to where he can get his offense off, Pollo does well, at least with that particular style, to where he can land shots, clean shots.
Here's the thing on that. I can see where you're getting at with that, because I think that particular style had been given Gary Antoine Russell issues. The reason why I say that is because Francis Barthélemy had pretty much that same style, because he had this just about in that same frame as Alberto Pollo does. Height, good jab, be consistent with that jab, and was able to move when he could move and get out of the pocket. It's just now, are we going to see Gary Antoine Russell be able to properly move himself around to where he could kind of like get around that jab and then move into effectively get to Alberto Pollo, and on another front, prevent Pollo from moving out of the pocket or moving away from where he is at range? That's what we got to see on that. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, Terrence said he's still with us. All right, bet. So Yeah, I'm gonna try to see here like which one I'm gonna get at, because that Pollo Martin thing, like I was saying, some time back, I was like, I wasn't expecting much from this fight. I thought it would have been something where Martin wouldn't be as engaging, or Pollo would kind of cruise to a wide decision. No, they had a couple of moments there where they were having some good exchanges, and I felt like that was well, at least for me, it was a better fight than I expected. It's just that it ended up being a decision in favor of Alberto Puello for him to keep that WBC belt. Like I said, I thought Martin did a whole lot more. He did certainly
Yeah,
a whole lot more
I did.
against Teofimo Lopez. I was like, goodness gracious.
He beat him too, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Pollo beat Marty, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know who this guy is. Really. I just really took some set aside money. I still understand that part as far as like how much money you got to pay me to make me step aside, first of all. That's what I really want to know. Second of all, what was that?
Hold on. What, in reference to what, Sandor Martin?
Yeah.
No, so remember the situation with Sandor Martin, right? He had been the mandatory for the WBC belt, but before Puello had it, it was Devin Haney, and Devin Haney actually went through the process for the mandatory for the purse bid. Once the purse bid took place, the money that was out there that was a winning bid apparently wasn't enough for Devin Haney. So he ended up, relinquishing the belt.
So he took step aside money.
No. You can't. In order for a fighter to take step aside money, it would mean that the champion, the current champion, is facing somebody else instead of the mandatory. Sandor Martin is the mandatory. Devin Haney was the champion. Alberto Puello was the interim champion. That's what he got when he won against Gary Antoine Russell. He was the interim champion. But with Sandor Martin still being the mandatory, they had ordered Martin versus Haney. But the purse bid took place. Top Rank won the purse bid. Haney didn't necessarily want that, so they ended up, having the belt relinquished. And that's how that went. So now when you see Devin Haney now, he's not, there as the world champion. He's not a champion there against going up against Jose
Ramirez.
Yeah, Jose Carlos Ramirez, right? So
It's a great fight. It's a great fight.
So that's the situation there with that WBC belt.
Okay, so Antoine Russell, okay, he got a belt.
Mm-hmm.
Antoine got his belt.
Yep.
He said he's going to do revenge, though, right?
What's that?
He's going to get his revenge on Puello, right?
Yeah, he's going to try to.
Now he's going to.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
That's about 2 birds with 1 stone, and then he keeps moving up because he said, everybody in 140, I'm coming to get you.
Yeah. So that's the thing with step one. He wants to get that get back with Puello. Now, as far as like getting fights with Teofimo Lopez and a Richard Hitchens, that's going to be.
It can be done. It can be done. It can be done.
They can be done. They should be done.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Matias just called out Richardson last night.
Yeah, because he did win last night, and he's now the mandatory again for the IBF belt. So he'll try to go after Richard Hitchens. I think that fight.
Who's the mandatory there, Jay?
It's gonna end up being Subrio Matias, because he won the final eliminator.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
Who
he's
do
gonna.
you like? Who do you like?
Well, in that fight,
Yeah.
oh, good one. Whoa, man, I might have to get at you later with that one. It should be Hitchens, but I can't fully commit to that yet because
What fight is this?
Hitchens versus Matias. Who would you favor in that fight?
It's a toss up because Matthias is really small. He's like Sandor Martin, and like he's like literally 5'6", 5'7". And I know Richardson Hitchens probably what 5'9" at that, 5'8", 5'9", 5'9". Probably he's probably 5'9".
He said
It,
he's saying that Subriel Matias is small.
he is, man. He's real small, but like he's not that big, man. I've seen him. He's not big. What's that? Like I'm tall, man. I'm not
No,
tall.
Subriel Matias is 5'9".
Nah, man. That's cap. I'm taller than him. I'm not tall. He's small, man. Telling you. He looks big on TV. He's not that tall.
They call him the African, right?
Yeah, Africa. Richard Hitchens, yes.
The Africa.
It's a 50-50 fight.
Because Matthias wants it, so Africa wants it. That's going to be a fight.
Yeah, I think they can go ahead and make that happen. You know, I don't see why they can't make that happen. You know, he just was it going to be like another few months before Matthias would be ready for it? So I say why not?
Matthias said last night, I was ready for you, motherfucker.
Yeah, he does have those moments where he'll say stuff like that, you know, add something into it. So yeah, he'll definitely be prepared for that fight against Africa there whenever they go ahead and schedule it. So that kind of like would make this super lightweight division have a few good interesting fights here for the.
Let me ask you this real fast, and the caller over there, just to add to that matchup with Africa and Matthias.
Mm-hmm.
How would you, both of you guys, how do both of those guys look against Arnold Barboza? I'm not high on really on either or guy, but I think from what I've seen from Barboza lately, he could probably beat both of those guys. So what do you guys think about that?
I think, you know, with what we were saying about the super lightweight division earlier, that any of these guys could, you know, beat any of those other guys. I mean, I don't see like one fighter at the 140-pound division that like really stands out above everybody. And the only thing with Tio is like Tio has that win over Josh Taylor. Outside of that,
Lineal.
you know, so that's my take on it. Hey, Terrence, what you got on that? Arnold Barboza against either Subriel Matias or Africa.
I don't know too much about Barboza. Matias, I only know him because Neil Street loves this guy. And Africa, everybody talks about him like he's food. So his style is curious to me. So if I had to, I don't know you guys really like that, but it's like I didn't know what. But I believe in what he says. Things didn't take him. This is really the same take that guy. And the film came out, and he was like, I want you motherfuckers yourself. Back in the day, that's what they did.
Yeah.
The fight the best fight the best. You say you better, I say I'm better. Let's go in here and let's get, you know what? If you really want to get down and dirty with it, look here, let's go in the backyard and let's see what's happening. Ain't no money on the line unless, but I believe I'm better than you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the whole thing, you know.
Take all the money out.
Mm-hmm.
That you with ego, God. We say, you know what, I'm better than you. You said you're better than me.
Prove it. Yeah, and then in this professional boxing game, we don't necessarily have that anymore. we have folks saying, "Oh, I need this certain deal to happen and this type of money to be presented to me and all that other stuff." And yeah, it makes things makes the sport a little bit watered down in that particular sense.
I know you're doing your job, but if Floyd do that, if Muhammad Ali do that. If Holmes do that, if Sweetie Hill could do that, if Jamel Taylor do that, come on, man, let's keep going. Keep going. If they do that, they said, look, I'm the best. Tell me you can beat me. Let's go get it. And there was money on the line.
Yeah. But nowadays, you definitely don't have that in. Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna get back to that particular point anytime soon. To be honest with you, I just don't see it getting back to that point. It's just that you have the sport and you have the business, and the business is really the thing that kind of like deters those type of matchups from happening more often in the sport. You know what I mean? You could get some good matchups, but you don't necessarily get the best matchup. You feel me? So.
Right. Check this out. After that third last night, and Lamont Roach said that Tate won't give him the rematch. They said the court stepped up and said that he would fight Roach. So Roach said, let's do it. Let's do it.
Hopefully, I'm gonna give it what I'd say about 5 days, 6 days or so, probably a week. But I'm gonna see if I can follow up with Lamont Roach Jr. on that. After the fight, chopped it up with him after the fight, chopped it up with his father after the fight. Actually, I was supposed to, post a, interview like with Lamont Roach Sr. like soon after the whole thing with the press conference and everything. But like I said, man, I just got back from being in New York City and had to catch up with a whole lot of stuff. So I'll see if I could get that on the channel here in the next maybe hour, I would say. And then you'll be able to check that out. And then I'll follow up on that. With Lamont Roach Sr.
The court had already reached out.
Yeah.
But he said that if Tate can give him a rematch, that he would fight Roach.
Okay. So now we're gonna see what happens first with the Tank and Roach. If that rematch don't happen, then let's see if Shakur follows up on that word. Because like you said, it's all about if someone says something, if they follow up with that. You know what I mean? So now we gotta see. But what will be it?
And I think this, you know what? I gotta give Lamont Roach's dad major props because look, that's senior. That's Lamont Roach Senior. That guy is not out there like all these other guys. He let his son do all the work.
Yeah. That's a great point.
The other dads, if they listen to your channel today, they be like saying, "Get the fuck out the way."
Hey,
let the fighters do what they do.
Hey, you see that he's not in all these channels, like that or putting himself out there on his own. No, he don't have time for that. He's in the gym 24/7. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say 24/7, but part of it he's in the gym. The other part he's doing this thing there with No Excuse Promotions. So he's been having the joint with last year with Lamont Roach Jr. there against McCrory, right? Then he had a prospect show over at Rosecroft Raceway, and now he got another thing set up here for April 12th with the number of the fighters here, from a number of the fighters in this area that they are going to be part of that card. So he's doing work with Lamont Roach Jr. with Jordan Roach, with Ben Johnson, with a few other fighters there in the professional ranks and in the amateurs, and still doing promotion there for putting local cards up for fight fans in the area to see too. So he really don't have time to be up in the camera like that.
Right, so that's what I'm saying, man. All the other guys, get your ass out the way. Let the fighters do the fighting. And y'all go out there and just be whatever. Get the fuck out the way.
Yep. That's the thing, man. When you have them be too involved in his son's lives, it ends up hurting them. And of course, we just had a recent example of that. We had a recent example of that here a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, just yeah. I can't. Yep. So you need to just go ahead and calm down and just sit off to the side before he ends up ruining his son's career. All right. So there, Terrence, man, that was of course a great take there, great analysis on that front, and your good take on a number of these fights here. Man, I've been on this thing for about 3 hours, man. I've never really had a show like for this.
You don't usually do this.
Never really had a show about
Hey, I appreciate you letting me come up. You acknowledge me. I appreciate that, and I'm gonna keep tuning in to you. Just don't get caught up too much in that blueberry shit, man.
Oh no! Hey, no. No. Hey, listen. I don't. I know what he does. I know what he does. I don't do that, and that's why a number of folks within boxing circles kind of like roll with me because I don't delve into that. You know what I mean? Like had a recent conversation about that with who you mentioned and how he kind of like put stuff up that, as they say, is clickbait, but he doesn't do much research, or he knows but he doesn't pursue that because they don't feel like it gets as much attention as if they say, oh, let me put up something that might not be true but might get me attention anyway. Nah, I can't do that.
You do what you do, man. I'm just saying that dude almost finished you in, and you almost went for it, but you got something to real quick. So you keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm rocking with you, and I keep listening. I'm subscribing all that stuff, man. I appreciate you letting me come up and be on your panel tonight, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, no doubt, man. Anytime, man. You know what I'm saying? If you're able to, check us out here live and, I got the phone lines open or whatnot. Man.
I'm always here, man. I'm always out there with you.
Yeah, for sure, man. So, yeah, man, I'll be sure to keep up with you. All right? All right, for sure, man. So that's our brother there, Terrence, there that, was able to be part of this conversation with us on the Boxing Source podcast. And like I said, man, we're here almost 3 hours, and actually this kind of like helped me out a little bit because, like I said, me just getting back from New York City, man, and being up until like about 5:30 in the morning, and then only having a few hours rest and getting myself ready to get back over here, and try to get here in time in order to do this podcast is, it's something. So, wanted to, give big ups for everybody that's, been able to listen live and everything like that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button or whatever it is, whether, it's here through YouTube. It's actually on through Rumble as well. You'll be on the thing there for Spotify and all of that for those that, listen through audio and everything like that. Big ups to the Boxing Academic. Oh, wait, no. The Exquisite Boxing Academic, is that what it is? The Exquisite?
No, he kept calling me exquisite or something.
Oh yeah.
So I just added that because
yeah,
he didn't hear you when you said Boxing Academic.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
big
yeah,
up,
the exquisite.
man. Big ups to my brother Steph here for joining in. You hadn't been on here for a while, so you're able to get back on here, for this time here. And just shout out to everybody that's been able to listen live and things like that. So give as they say, a round of applause and whatnot. So yeah, I got the whole sound thing going down with that with everything. But we'll be right back at it. As far as usually do midweek reports. I have to see what my status is after tonight because, like I said, I've been running around for the past 4 or 5 weeks doing these events, and I know that one day I'm gonna just ultimately crash and I'll be able to do jack. So I'm not putting any guarantees out that there's gonna be a midweek report. But there's likely going to be another Boxing Source podcast for next Sunday there too. So you do have that. Steph, you had something here real quick before we roll.
Yeah, man, it's good to see you, man. Appreciate it. And I'm just jacked up, man. And that was a good night. That was a good night. We boxing fans won last night. I was very
Yeah.
thrilled.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it was good stuff all around.
Yep.
When you get a chance, yeah, we'll finish up these fights, giving up our ideas and whatnot. But get some rest, man, and appreciate you, man. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it.
Oh,
February was busy, lots of fights every
yeah.
week. So
And then first,
yeah,
and
And he started off it in Vegas.
yeah.
That's why he ain't caught up because he was in Vegas trying to be grown and
dang,
stuff.
dang. By the way, one more thing. David Benavidez is my number one pound for pound fighter right now in the world. Yes, I don't think anyone.
Mm,
I don't see anyone beating David. I don't.
mm.
And I just like his grit. I like his determination. He's pure PBC, and you know, yeah, his future's bright. His future's bright. He's good, man. He's solid. I was very happy for him in his last performance, and happy for him just going forward. But I like what I've seen from him in the last two fights and 2 or 3 fights,
Yeah.
and I'm believing. I'm drinking the David Kool-Aid, man. So like, he's my number one guy for sure.
Does he stay away from David Morrell or does he want them problems again?
He already beat David Morrell very decisively too.
Oh yeah.
And I'm very happy for Morrell Jr. to get that opportunity. We needed that. That was a great fight, man.
Fight of the year.
That was,
Hey, that's the leader for fight of the year for me. I'm sorry.
and then Morrell buckled him a couple times, about 2 times. But
Mhm.
man, yeah, talking about Benavidez. Benavidez is something else, gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, he showed a different element in that fight.
He's
Showed
really good. He's really good, and his defense on how he parries apart. He's almost like Ken Norton style. How he blocks a lot with his hands, so he's really
yeah,
not getting hit as much as people think.
yeah,
And he's just a savage, man. He's just gonna get to you eventually. So I think he beats Bivol in a tough fight, and I think he beats Better Beef too. And Better Beef was a talented 40-year-old, bro. 40-plus-year-old. That guy's good still. So
yeah, yep,
yeah,
yeah.
can't wait. But yeah, y'all be cool, man. Get some rest. Have a good start to the week. All
All
right.
right, y'all. So
All
that's
right.
it for this edition of the Boxing Source podcast. Like I said, I'll see if we can get in for the next episode here on. It should be for Sunday, March 9th. Midweek report for Wednesday. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll talk about what'll happen at the press conference over in New York on Tuesday. I ain't going. I'm not going. No, I'm not doing it. Like I said, I just got back. I ain't gonna turn around and go right back into New York City for another press conference. Nope, I'm not doing it. So, with that being said, we'll see if we have a midweek report, but we definitely have another edition of the Boston Source podcast for Sunday, March 9th. So, thank y'all once again for being part of this podcast here, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace out.